Look at all of you. We're doing a little bit different this year, huh? I'm going live about 12 minutes early. I'm not starting the actual mock till 5, but I did want to chat with you guys. Thank you guys for showing up, being supportive of kind of an impromptu format this year because I had massive audio issues. I just got back from Guitar Center like an hour ago because I had to spend a lot of money to try to fix this issue. Please let me know, by the way, if the audio is still shitty, and I will continue to adjust as I go. I'm still not entirely sure if it's the interface, if it's the XLR cable, if it's the mic. I have no idea what's wrong, but I recorded about 40% of the normal mock draft format, and then I listened to it back, and I was like, wow, I sound like a robot that's underwater up his own ass. It was terrible. So hopefully I'm doing a little bit better today. Let me get a link so I could tweet this out and get more people in here. Because again, we're kind of winging it this year. A little bit different format for the mock draft. I'm doing it as a live stream because of production issues. And the same issues impacted the um, offensive position rankings, which were going to be even longer than the defensive position rankings episode that just released this morning. That one was going to be like an hour and a half, hour 40 minutes. So uh, yeah, a lot of content got thrown off in the worst possible week by a bad XLR cable, but it happens. So I also want to thank the sponsor that was sponsoring the mock draft, Felix Gray. I got in touch with them. I was like, look, I'm fucked here. What do you guys want me to do? And they're like, whatever. Like, we'll sponsor the live stream instead. We don't care what format. We just want to support you. And so I'm gonna thank them a little bit later on down the line. But thank you to Felix Gray for being flexible and in a way paying for all of the stuff that I just had to buy to make this stream possible in the first place. So uh, kind of a net gain of $0 here today, but whatever. Good content's good content. Hopefully you guys enjoy it, and we'll see how wrong I am in a few years. Oh, I didn't even realize I left super chats on for this. Whoops. Uh, well, thank you. Thank you, Shmoody. I appreciate that. All right, maybe not net zero. Maybe we're net plus $10 today, so I'll take that. Anything helps to pay the mortgage. Well, as long as you love the live stream format. Again, we're going to start in 10 minutes here with the actual mock draft. I just wanted to say hi. You guys have been waiting so patiently, um, and you guys are dedicated. So I want to, chat with you guys a little bit before we get going here. Let me tweet this out and be actually good at my job for once. Okay. As you can tell, I'm completely winging it. By the way, one of the things that I actually did record, I have been saving this bottle for 2 months. It was sent to me by one of you by the name of Jeff Tully, because he's like, I don't really do the Patreon thing. I don't really want to buy merch, but I still want to support you. So he sent me a bottle of Glenmorangie, but not just any Glenmorangie. It's Nectar Dior Glenmorangie, which is Glenmorangie aged in Sauterne casks, which is a wine region within the Bordeaux region of France. Phenomenal. I've only had it in bars before. I've never had my own bottle. Now I do. It's incredible. So Jeff, thank you. Cheers to you for helping me to salvage this mock draft and salvage my draft season. This is great stuff. I don't know if you guys have ever had Glenmorangie, but it's one of my favorite Highland styles, and I'm also a sucker for um, any finish in any kind of wine casks or any. I mean, there's a million different kind of finishes in wine casks, but anything of that variety. Oh God, I spilled it. God, I'm so bad at this. All right, last 8 minutes. Let's get into some super chats here, just because you guys are awesome. For $9, what's your opinion on the Saints? Should they trade up or wait for a quarterback to slow? Well, they're not getting a quarterback. They're not. I don't think any quarterback's getting past 15. Spoiler alert. But they're not getting one, so they got to ride with either Jameis or Taysom this year. Just kind of build a supporting, cast around them. I mean, they don't have money to go get one in free agency, really. They don't have. I mean, they have ammunition to trade up, but I think it would be grossly irresponsible of them. For me, just whoever the best player is at 28, just take them. Build the best possible team so that either Taysom or Jameis can be successful. I would like to get a receiver for them. We'll see if one's available. I wouldn't be surprised if like six, maybe seven receivers go off the board before they even get to pick. So we'll see. That's probably one of the bigger weaknesses on the roster. But like my ideal option for them is Terrace Marshall or Rashad Bateman. Again, doubt they get there because Baltimore's picking right ahead of them. But best case scenario. Ethan, for $10, have you tried the George Dickel bottle and bond? No, I have not. One of my friends did though, and he highly recommended it. Really, anything bottled and bond, I tend to like, just because I like anything that is what's proofier is not the word, but I feel like anything bottled and bond just tends to have a little bit more like spice to it. Especially like bottled and bond ryes. Like God, what's it called? I get it at Costco. They sell like a giant ass bottle of it. Those make great Manhattans because they're super spicy. God, I wish I could remember them. I'm not like super versed in ryes. Like I really like Whistle Pig. I really like Rittenhouse as like my kind of mainstay for cocktails. Whistle Pig I'll just do straight because it's really damn good. Sagamore cask strength rye is probably my favorite rye. They do a really good rye, but I need to expand my rye palette. I mostly have scotches and bourbons. Who's spamming? The chat's going like crazy right now. We have 1,500 people in here, so I can't really tell who's spamming. I'm sorry, guys. It's going nuts right now. One of my most anticipated videos all year. Well, it's one of my most anticipated to make as well. And it sucks that I didn't really get to do it the normal way. But honestly, the fact that we got 1,500 people in here and we kind of just, get to pull a Bill O'Reilly and say, fuck it, do it live and just kind of do a mock draft together. I think that's fun. I think it's going to be a really good show. And man, if there's 1,500 people for a mock draft, I can only imagine how many people are going to be in there for the actual live draft show that I'm doing with my podcast partner, EJ. If you guys aren't subscribed to the Bootleg Football Podcast, by the way, that link is down in the description. Go subscribe there because an hour before day one on Thursday, we're doing a live show that's going all the way straight through round one. We're live reacting to picks. We're doing it after the first round. And then we're doing day two and all of day three as well. It's like 19 to 20 hours of live stream content, reacting to every single pick. So go check out that link in the description. Hope you guys stop by for the actual draft show as well, because that's going to be nutty. Here, I think it's Kyle 1591. Let me do that. The timeout. Apparently I have mod powers. I'm still learning StreamYards. I'm not very good at my job, if you guys could tell. EJ, my podcast partner from Bootleg, is in here. What do you know? Say hi, EJ. When's the offensive ranking video coming? Well, it would have been coming in the morning if my mic issues didn't completely screw me over. I only got like 20% of it. I had all the footage gathered, but I only got 20% of the audio recorded before I, had the issues. So at this point, I don't even know if I'll be able to finish it before the draft. That's why I did the mock draft in this format, because I was like, well, there's no way I'm going to finish it in the normal way with that, because the draft is in like a day and a half. So I'm kind of winging it. I hope you guys will give me a little bit of wiggle room, but all that footage is not going to go to waste. I'm going to have plenty of stuff coming after the draft that's going to be talking about all those guys. So, and then I'll also probably end up just like on Twitter, just throwing out my tiers in written form just so you guys can see them. Maybe I'll do another stream just dedicated to that, just to try to get my thoughts out there before the draft. And then last one before we actually do the real mock in a few minutes. Brendan for $10. Thank you for all the draft coverage. You're very welcome. Thank you for watching it, for one. It's always the most entertaining part of the draft process. Yeah, I find arguing over Mac Jones to be not the most entertaining part, but only a couple more days. Only a couple more days, and then we're finally out of this hellscape. Then we could finally go back to being normal football fans. But only a couple more days. Wow, almost 1,800 people in here for a freaking mock draft, guys. You guys are nuts. I love you, but you're nuts. Mm. So why don't we kick? Oh, God, that is good. Thank you, Jeff, for that. Oh, wait, one more. I gotta do this one. Where is it? Where is back? There we go. Just because he donated so much. What do you think of Jordan? I'm assuming Jordan Lupe's mock draft. I DM'd it and linked it under your. Oh, let me look at it right now because you gave me $20, so I want to I want to do you right and look at it, and then we'll get into mine. Okay, so he did Trevor. Dallas trading up to 1 for Trevor Lawrence. Well, that's just not going to happen. For one, Jesus Christ. So he's got Mac Jones going 2 to the. Is this a joke? Could he pay it 3 to the Niners? This has got to be a joke. There's no way. There's no way. That's got to be a joke. I don't want to talk too much shit, but anyway, let's get into. It's 4:59. I said we're gonna go live at 5, so I'll go live a minute early, and let's kick off this mock draft with probably the easiest pick that I'll ever do, and that's Jacksonville at 1, going Trevor Lawrence, wire to wire, top quarterback in this prospect in this whole process, cannon for an arm, unreal mobility and pocket movement for a guy who's 6'6". You would think that he's, going to be kind of like a Brock Osweiler, like a giraffe learning to walk with those kind of dimensions, but he's graceful, I guess is the best way to say it, in the pocket, whip smart. I was a little bit worried about accuracy percentages and the fact that they ran more screens, by the way. Clemson ran more screens last year than Justin Herbert ran in his last year at Oregon. So I kind of learned my lesson of all right, maybe that doesn't matter so much. Maybe that's just coaching staffs trying to overthink things a little bit. You don't have to throw so many screens, Clemson. Jesus Christ, you have the best quarterback in 10 years. You can throw down the field. So I think the system didn't really do him as many favors. And now that I think we've seen Justin Herbert in the NFL kind of ascend past a wonky college system and show that, hey, talent's the number one thing that matters. I'm learning my lesson from that one, and I'm saying, yeah, Trevor Lawrence's talent is really what matters here. I mean, as a true freshman, ripping apart a great Alabama defense says a lot, and he's really not slowed down since then. I don't want to say he's a flawless prospect. I think there are some things that other quarterbacks in this class do even better than Lawrence, but in terms of just having no weaknesses on or off the field, yeah, he's number one. He's flat out number one. Jacksonville, they got very lucky. They got very lucky that they were that bad of a team at the right time. In terms of his fit with Urban Meyer, I'm not 100% sure yet because I've never seen Urban Meyer in the NFL. I'd be curious to see, and I've watched Urban Meyer clinics and stuff like that, so I can kind of understand a little bit of his overall offensive approach. I am curious to see, how much option we're going to see, how much spread influences we're going to see. I don't really have any concerns about Trevor Lawrence running anything, but I am curious to see what their offense is going to look like. We probably won't know until September. But I don't really have any doubts that whatever they trot out there, you put Trevor Lawrence with all of their offensive personnel because they have a lot of weapons, in my opinion. The offensive line, it's not great, but it's not bad either. At least it's just dead average. And I think you add a few more pieces on defense, and you're looking pretty good in Jacksonville. Again, we'll see what Urban Meyer does as a head coach, but I don't really have any major concerns about their personnel. They don't have a lot of weaknesses there. I think this team can get good sooner rather than later. So we'll go to pick number 2 here, which is Justin Fields. And I understand a lot of people saying, okay, well, this pick is spoken for. It's Zach Wilson. Why are you saying Justin Fields? I'm just going off of my personal grades. I have Justin Fields as QB2 in this class. Nothing against Zach Wilson. Nothing against Trey Lance. Nothing against Mac Jones. I just think when I look at Justin Fields, his combination of arm talent, mobility, intelligence. I mean, you guys saw my live stream. I spent 4 hours breaking down one game against Indiana, which was a top 15 defense. Indiana tore a lot of quarterbacks up. Very aggressive, I guess you could say pro style pressures. Like they're not just sitting back there and playing zone like some Big 12 stuff. Like Indiana is a legit defense that threw a lot of shit at him. And there were some mistakes. He played honestly a lot like young Deshaun Watson. And again, I'm not making a comparison off the field, but comparison on the field, it's the aggressiveness to a fault, that never say die attitude. It got him into a little bit of trouble against Indiana, but it was fixable. Like it wasn't really like I didn't look at that game and say, "Oh, we can't read a defense." I looked at that game and said, "Well, he reads the defense. He's just hanging too long on number 1 because he's trying to hit a touchdown on every single play, and sometimes you don't do that." Like the pick that he threw, well, the second pick that he threw to Jamar Johnson, where he's running for his life, then he throws a duck to the middle of the field because he's just trying to make a play, and it's like, man, just throw it away. Like you don't have to try to rescue every single play just because you're physically capable of rescuing every single play. Sometimes it's okay to take a loss. Sometimes it's okay to throw it away. And he's got to learn that. He's got to learn to be a little bit more under control. But I don't have any concerns about him reading defenses. I didn't watch that tape, which a lot of people point to as his worst game, as him not being able to read a defense. That was my last thought. Like I never looked at that and said, he doesn't know what he's looking at. I thought there's some stuff that he hasn't seen before that he's going to learn from, but I didn't think that he was incapable of getting better. Like there was some stuff from Mac Jones where I looked at it where I was like, I don't know if that's ever going to get better, but it's more like physical stuff. With Justin Fields, I don't really have any concerns about his ability to improve. So he's QB2 for me, and I'm not the only one who thinks that he's better than Zach Wilson. There's a lot of people out there that thinks he's better than Zach Wilson. And this is nothing against Zach Wilson. Like I have also him as a top 5 pick. I think he's a really good quarterback. But when I'm picking at number 2, I want generational athlete. I want tough as nails. I want ultra competitive. And oh, by the way, this off the field narrative stuff, just to fuck it. I've been drinking a little bit. I'm going to let you guys in on some stuff. 2 days after the Niners traded up, 2 days after, I got some DMs from people that are pretty well connected that said, hey, you're going to hear some stuff about Justin Fields. I was like, what do you mean? And that's when I learned, hey, going back to his days at Georgia, last guy in, first guy out, like there's some concerns about work ethic, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, that's interesting. I heard other stuff from other people, but you know more people than I do, so that's fine. I never really went live with it though, because I was like, well, I don't know Justin Fields. I don't know these coaches. I'm the 4th link in the chain at best, probably 5th or 6th. Why would I kill the kid for something that A, I can't verify myself, and B, what do I gain from it? Not that this guy was gaining anything. Like he wasn't talking about it publicly either. A few days after that, Dan Orlovsky went on, I think it was Pat McAfee, and was saying a lot of the same stuff that I just heard. And I'm pretty sure he got it from different people than what I got it from. So the fact that that all happened 2 days after the trade up smelled a little fishy to me. Again, I'm not saying that there isn't problems with Justin Fields off the field with work ethic or whatever. What I am saying is a little bit fishy, the timing, a little bit fishy that he doesn't play like somebody that doesn't put in the work to know what he's doing. Like when I look at him on the field, I'm like, yeah, that's a dude that studies. He knows what he's looking at. Sometimes, again, he's too aggressive, but I still think he thinks, I still think that he plays like somebody who knows what he's looking at. He plays like somebody who studies. He plays like somebody who works hard. I never got the impression, based on how he plays as a quarterback, that he does not put in the work to be a quarterback. So again, I'm not saying that it's impossible that there's off the field stuff. I am saying that it's a little bit funny, the timing of it. And we'll see what happens. Will he go at 3? I have no idea. Will he get out of the top 5? Highly doubt it. Highly doubt it. There's talk of him like slipping all the way to 9. I mean, for God's sake, if he slips all out of the top 10, then there's clearly something I don't know. Because on the field, he looks awesome. So I don't know. I'm putting it out there. Like I heard the same stuff that Dan heard. It's just the fact that I don't know the kid and I don't know the coaches that were saying it at either Ohio State or Georgia, whoever was putting it out there. The fact that I don't know them means that I wasn't going to run with it because that'd just be me talking out my ass. And everybody that I know that also heard it before Dan went live with it also said nothing because they weren't able to verify it either. So I don't know. Sometimes, again, not that there's any other media people watching this, but sometimes when you hear shit, if you're not sure, don't say it publicly. Just don't. Like, it's not a smart thing to do. So I'm saying publicly, I don't know what Justin Fields' work ethic is, but I do know that he plays like a quarterback that has a great one. And when you look at him on the field, that's all that matters. He looks like a quarterback that gives a shit. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to say he gives a shit. Anyway, rant over. Let me move on to, well, first, let me grab this and then throw that on the ticker for people that are coming in late so they can track the picks live. I'm going to be doing this after everyone and updating that ticker for you. Let's go to pick number 3, which is the Niners. And this is going to be another quarterback, probably not the one you're thinking, though. I'm going to go with Trey Lance, North Dakota State. Again, I understand there's a greater than 70% chance that this is going to be Mac Jones. I get that. But when I look at Trey Lance play and when I look at Mac Jones play, the flaws in, and also in Zach Wilson too, the flaws in Zach Wilson's game and Mac Jones's game, I think are a little bit less correctable than the flaws in Trey Lance's game. Like, I don't think Trey Lance has any problems navigating the pocket, seeing the field. Obviously, his physical talent is off the charts. His problem is accuracy in the intermediate and deep part of the field, which is more of a mechanical issue than anything else. I believe that it's a higher likelihood of Trey Lance improving his mechanics and then improving his ball placement, like Josh Allen, which I've done multiple film rooms on, breaking down his change in mechanics and how his ball placement improved as a result. I have more faith in that occurring than I have in Zach Wilson improving on his flaws or Mac Jones improving on his flaws. Again, I have Zach Wilson going in the top 5, so it's not like I'm saying Zach Wilson's a bad prospect. I'm just saying when I'm splitting the hairs here, I think that Trey Lance's flaws, which is literally just ball placement in the intermediate and deep part of the field, that's it. I think that is a more correctable flaw. I believe in the guy. I believe in his physical talent. I believe in his mental makeup. I literally only had a problem with his accuracy. And just kind of going off, some recent examples of quarterbacks with mechanical issues in college, whether it's Lamar, whether it's Josh Allen, even Baker Mayfield to a degree. When they improved his footwork in year 1 under Kevin Stefanski, he's not taking those super deep drops anymore. His timing's better. Like, I believe in guys putting in the work to fix mechanics and becoming better passers because we've seen some recent examples of that. So I'm going to go with Trey Lance at number 3. And now let me grab that, throw that onto the ticker for you guys. Keep that going. Number 4. 4th straight quarterback to start this draft. That's the kind of quarterback class it is. This is not a pick out of desperation. And I know it sounds like I've been shitting on Zach Wilson for a while. I do not want to give off that impression. He's a very good quarterback prospect that is worth a top 5 pick. He just happens to be in a quarterback class that is ridiculous. That is utterly ridiculous. Like, I have 2 tier 1 quarterbacks. It's Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. I have 2 tier 2 quarterbacks, which is Trey Lance and Zach Wilson. And then Mac Jones is kind of in a tier 3 all by himself. And then Kellen Mond is in a tier 4 all by himself. And then you get into the guys like, Davis Mills and Felipe Franks and all them. So I think Zach Wilson is the last of the quarterbacks that is worth a top 10 pick. Really, really fun player to watch. In terms of off-platform throws, he and Justin Fields are probably the 2 best in this class, in my opinion. And you could argue that Zach Wilson's off-platform ability as a passer is the best, like even over Justin Fields. The problem is, I feel like sometimes he would kind of force himself into off-platform situations when he really didn't have to, just because he was capable of it. Again, it's a kind of a similar problem to what Fields has, where it's like he's trying to rescue every play because he's physically capable of it. Sometimes I felt like Zach Wilson, it's like, man, just execute the call. Like, if one's not there, go to two. Like, don't scramble around just because you know you can hit one on a scramble drill 50 yards down the boundary. Like, that's great, but it's one thing when you're doing that against Houston or UCF. It's another when you're doing that against the freaking Patriots. Like, so I think I don't want to say he has a problem playing within structure, but he's less comfortable in structure than the other three quarterbacks I have going ahead of him. And if you're a quarterback who has less comfort in structure, despite playing in an offense that had a very good offensive line with wide open pockets, you're running mesh 15 times a game. There was some stuff that, again, I don't consider it a major flaw, but it's just stuff that kind of put him a little bit under the other guys to me. I love the arm talent. The mobility is great. The shoulder surgeries, I guess you can knock him for a little bit, but I'm not a doctor, so I don't really know, what the long-term effects of those are going to be. I'm just talking about purely on tape. It was a lot of plays that became out of structure that didn't have to be. There were some jump balls that didn't have to be jump balls. I was talking to JT O'Sullivan a little bit. Like, if you watch any of JT's breakdowns on Zach Wilson, he and I are pretty much in lockstep. Where it's like we like the guy, but there's a lot of jump balls that didn't need to be jump balls. There's a lot of out of structure plays that didn't need to be out of structure. I think Atlanta's a great place for him to go because he can learn to work the short and intermediate area of the field, which he seemed allergic to for whatever reason. Didn't really like working the middle of the field as much as some of the other guys, even when there were some wide open throws. He really preferred stuff kind of deeper and outside the numbers, which is fine. Like, again, he's a shot play guy. Like, that's kind of his comfort zone. But I really want him to go to Atlanta where he can sit for 2 years, get comfortable in the offense, learn to work within the structure of that offense, learn to work the middle of the field, and maybe just kind of improve the few things that need to be improved on. I think Atlanta's a great situation for him. I think he can be a better quarterback going to Atlanta than going to a place like where he would have to start immediately. Not that I think that he would be bad starting immediately. I just think that it would be more beneficial to him in his career to go to a place where he can sit for a little bit, get the Pat Mahomes treatment, get the Aaron Rodgers treatment, sit, learn, develop, and then come out in like 2023 and light it up then, because he has the physical talent to do that. But I just want to give him a little bit of breathing room. Don't have to start immediately. So let me grab this. I'll throw this into the ticker for people that are coming in late. And thank you to everybody for your patience. We're kind of doing it a little bit different this year, but so far I think it's going well. Let me know if you think it's not going well, and I'll take notes for next year. But we're making it work. We're making it work. Audio issues be damned. So picking at number 5 here, I got Cincinnati. And this is a situation that maybe they didn't anticipate being in, because Penei Sewell, Ja'Marr Chase, and Kyle Pitts are all on the board. And I took a long time to try to figure out what would I do in this scenario if the tackle's there. Rashawn Slater is also there, I think Rashawn Slater would be a phenomenal guard, not just being a good tackle, but a phenomenal guard as well. He's like a Zach Martin type guy where Zach Martin's played tackle. He was good at tackle. Zach Martin's played guard. He's a Hall of Fame guard. Rashawn Slater's that kind of guy to me. And Cincy, I think, needs more interior offensive line than tackle, but that's neither here nor there. Sewell's there. Slater's there. Chase is there. Pitts is there. What do you do? And I was maybe swayed a little bit because when I was working on my offensive rankings episode, I was collecting all of my tape on Ja'Marr Chase to throw up there, and I was like, man, their connection in 2019 was special, not just from the fact that Chase is a freak athlete with great ball skills, great route runner, all that kind of stuff, but their connection individually between quarterback and wide receiver. Like, they were doing some stuff that, like Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelce do, where like they go completely off script, but they read each other's mind. It's the ability to know, like, hey, I'm rolling left. I know what the coverage is, so I know there's a hang corner sitting there while Joe is running for his life. I'm going to sit in this exact window where I know the corner's not and where I know the safety's not. I know the linebacker's over pursuing. Let me sit in this exact little window because I know Joe's going to get it to me. That's the kind of connection they have. It's not the on script stuff that's great. Well, I mean, it is great, but it's the off script stuff that they were capable of together that I was like, that's a special connection. And I know that Kyle Pitts is a phenomenal player. Sewell's a phenomenal player. Slater's great. But giving Joe Burrow his guy, when I know that this is a strong offensive line class and I can get a good guard in round 2, I can get a good tackle in round 2. I can't get Ja'Marr Chase in round 2. Like there's going to be 7 receivers maybe that go in the first round. So for me, if I have a chance to get a combination of Ja'Marr Chase and like Brady Christensen or like Spencer Brown or something like that, or God forbid it's like Creed Humphrey or Landon Dickerson at the top of round 2. If I can get Ja'Marr Chase and one of those guys, I'm sitting pretty compared to getting a tackle and Trevin Grimes maybe in round 2 is like one of the best you're going to get. Amir Smith-Marset. Like when you look at it as a package deal, I felt like Ja'Marr Chase was a little bit more rare of a player for his position than some of the offensive linemen, just because this offensive line class is so ridiculously deep. I felt like the overall value of a package deal with Ja'Marr Chase and a second round offensive lineman was ideal. So not just the fact that they already have the connection, but again, when you look at just how this class overall stacks up, where the positions are strongest, where they're weakest, I felt like that was a good package to do. So I'm going to grab that, throw that on the ticker. And feel free to let me know if you think I'm full of shit, by the way, because I know you guys love to have your opinions as well. It seemed like Bengals fans are still not sure where they want to go. It's been 3 months, and they're still – it's been Sewell versus Chase versus Pitts for 3 months, and it's still dead even split, which fascinates me because usually a fan base will kind of coalesce around one guy by now. But nope, they are dead even split still. Now, since Kyle Pitts is still on the board, that means he can be a Miami Dolphin, which I think, again, is a value pick. This is exactly the kind of scenario of why they traded back up to 6, because you move down from 3, whether they want to tackle because they're moving Robert Hunt to guard and they just traded Ereck Flowers, which, again, I kind of looked at this mock after that trade and I was like, well, do I want to go tackle now that I know they're moving Hunt? And I still thought the package of getting Kyle Pitts in round 1 plus an offensive lineman in round 2, with the depth of this tackle class, that was a more ideal scenario because, again, you're not going to get another Kyle Pitts. You're not going to get anybody close to Kyle Pitts. Whereas you still might get like a freak athlete 6'8" tackle that runs a sub 7.3 cone in round 2 and Spencer Brown from UNI. Like there's a lot of freak in nature OTs in this class. Tight end's very thin. So get one while you can, and especially get one of the best tight end prospects ever while you can. So again, this is exactly why they traded down from 3 to collect a bunch of picks, and then you use one of them to get back up into 6, so you can still get an elite player plus an extra first round pick from the Niners, which I think is the 2023 first round pick that they're basically, getting for free just for moving down 3 spots. So if you can get Kyle Pitts and a first round pick, you're good. Like you can fuck up the entire rest of the draft, but if you get in Kyle Pitts and an extra first round pick out of it, you're good. Like you're good. Entire rest of the draft doesn't even matter. Like Kyle Pitts is a remarkable talent. If he was strictly a wide receiver, you could argue that he's as good of a receiver prospect as Ja'Marr Chase, like just for his receiver skills. But the fact that he's also an inline tight end, you could put him at H-back. He's everything. He's everything from X to big slot to inline to H-back. It doesn't matter what the position is. He's going to roast anybody who lines up against him. It's very much, the Darren Waller conundrum, the George Kittle conundrum. Linebackers are too slow. DBs are too small. Nothing you can do about it as a defense. There is nothing you can do except draft Tyree Gillespie. He's one of the only DBs that I've ever seen actually keep Kyle Pitts in check, but he's not going to go in the first round. But if you're in the AFC East and Kyle Pitts is drafted to Miami, you better draft Tyree Gillespie because, again, he's had success against him. But I love Kyle Pitts. I never thought I would see a better physical makeup for a tight end prospect than OJ Howard, and then Pitts came along like 3 years later. He's an absolute freak. So we'll go Throw this one in the ticker. And I think Miami fans would actually be happy with that. I think they would. Some people have been still advocating for offensive line this entire time, especially with oh no, I don't have room on that. I'll just make a new ticker. Weird. I guess there's a okay. Well, I'm learning new things all the time. I guess there's a limit to what I can do. Odd. So I guess I could just do tickers 5 picks at a time. Where were we? Number 7. So with Detroit on the clock, I saw a tweet that was fascinating. Well, not fascinating, more just painful. And I want to share my screen with you guys to show you something because you really need to see it to believe it. And that is the Detroit Lions depth chart at wide receiver. And the tweet went, do you really want to see Jared Goff throwing to Tyrell Williams, Brashad Perriman, Khalif Raymond, Quintez Cephas? Like, is that the offense that you really want to see with a first-year head coach trying to reinvigorate a franchise? Like, that would be awful. That would just be awful to watch. So I have no excuse to not go wide receiver here. And that's why I'm going to go Devontae Smith. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, he's 166 pounds. He doesn't play at 166. He played at 170. He's a little bit lighter now, but from what I've heard from people that I know in that program, he played at anywhere between 170 to 175, depending on the time of the season. If he's at 170, 175, it's still very light. And the argument against that was, well, what's he going to do against press coverage? Who gives a fuck? Like, nobody can touch him at the line of scrimmage anyway. It doesn't matter, can he beat press? Yeah, he can beat press by going around it. He's extremely shifty, extremely fluid. Like, J.C. Horn couldn't press him. Eric Stokes couldn't press him. Tyson Campbell couldn't press him. C.J. Hendrick, or any of these SEC corners he's gone up against that are all press corners in the last 3 years, 4 years. Nobody could touch him at the line of scrimmage anyway. So who cares that he's slim? Who cares that he's skinny? Is he going to be breaking a lot of tackles in the open field? No. Like, he's going to get tackled easier, I guess, but he's also going to catch the ball a lot. He's going to get open a lot. He's going to score a lot. Like, if you're so worried about a guy putting up 90 catches for 1,200 yards because he's not getting an extra 200 of yak on top of that, like, learn to accept that 90 and 1,200 with 8 touchdowns is still pretty damn good, especially if you're doing it every single year. Like, you look at all the receivers in Alabama, Judy, Ruggs, Waddle. Devonta Smith was more productive than all of them. He's one of the greatest receivers in the history of college football, even though he played so light in the toughest conference in the history of college football, in the toughest division in the toughest conference, because nobody could touch that dude at the line of scrimmage. I have no worries about him beating press coverage. I have no worries about him being too skinny to handle NFL corners, because if J.C. Horn, for as freaky as J.C. Horn is, can't touch this dude at the line, despite having 33-inch arms and is super explosive, you think that you think Kevin King's going to touch him at the line if J.C. Horn couldn't? Really? Like, no. He's going to be fine. So, yeah, put him in Detroit. He's immediately the number 1 receiver. I have no concerns as of now about his weight. Again, you want to knock him for not being a yak machine, other than like on screens where you can get the edge because he has unreal burst. But like in terms of like catching something over the middle and breaking a tackle and going like Rondale Moore, yeah, he's not going to do that well. But if that's like the one problem you have, that's nothing to me. It's nothing to me. Like, Devonta Smith is amazing. If Jamar Chase wasn't in this class, he'd be easily the number 1 receiver, easily. So with that, let me throw that on the second ticker, since apparently we have to have multiple, because StreamYards just wants to screw me today. Let's go to pick number 8 with Carolina. And this is an advantageous spot for Carolina, because when you look at their depth chart, like the fact that they did the Darnold trade, knowing that they're not going to be able to get one of these top 4 quarterbacks, like I think they kind of, read the tea leaves and were like, we have no shot of getting Trey Lance. We have no shot of getting Wilson or Fields. Let's go get Darnold so that at least we have something. And then we can use the 8th overall pick to either trade down and get a bunch of assets, or worst case scenario, we could take BPA. And in this case, BPA to me is Penei Sewell from Oregon. Right now, they are kind of staring down the barrel when you look at their depth chart of either Greg Little or Cam Irving being their left tackle. That is their competition in camp. Greg Little or Cam Irving. Taylor Moton's great. The rest of the line, honestly, I don't really have any problems with. There is no way on God's green earth that I'm going to have Sam Darnold, who just went through a traumatic experience in the Jets, with even the remote possibility of Cameron Irving being his left tackle. I will not wish that on him. So I'm going to give him great protection. I mean, that bookend of Sewell and Moton is serious business there. That's a great tackle duo. I'm going to give him that duo. You got Robbie Anderson. You got Christian McCaffrey. You got Moore. Like, there's weapons there. I love their I love like their coaching staff. That, I think, would be an actual structure where Sam Darnold could succeed. So I understand the argument for trading down. Not that I'm doing trades in this mock anyway, but even if I did, I still don't know if I would trade down, because just the opportunity to get Penei Sewell here to be my left tackle for Sam Darnold, just to make it as easy as humanly possible to try to revive Darnold's career. Like, again, I spent picks on Darnold. I believe in him as a talent. I might as well at least try to make it work with whatever assets I can. So again, Penei Sewell, I think, would be great to try to resuscitate Darnold's career. And if you can resuscitate Darnold's career, again, he's a very talented quarterback. All of a sudden, you're getting a franchise guy for what, like a second round pick and change. Like, that's pretty damn good value. So I think Penei Sewell is just an easy pick for me there. And then at number 9, Denver. This is kind of worst case scenario for Denver, because well, not worst case scenario, but it's not ideal, because I think they were really, just like Carolina, kind of hoping that one of these quarterbacks might slip a little bit. And after the top 4 picks, there's pretty much no chance of that. So I'm just going to, again, go BPA and take Rashawn Slater out of Northwestern, which some people are like, offensive line. Like, the offensive line is already pretty good. You got Garrett Bowles. Like, he's a great left tackle. Again, we're talking about what's the best way to help a young quarterback potentially resuscitate their career. And it's just giving him as much protection as humanly possible. He's already got weapons. You know, you got Sutton. They just drafted 2 receivers last year. You got 2 tight ends that are athletic freaks. The backfield, I think, is good. If you're giving him this offensive line with Bowles and Slater, and the interior, I think, is really good as well. Like, that guard center guard trio is awesome, with arguably the best offensive line coach in the entire league now that Dante Scarnecchia is retired. If you give Locke that kind of structure and he's still bad, at least you answered yourself some questions. Like, then you know that there's no chance that Locke would ever succeed. Like, if he can't succeed with that offensive line and those weapons, there's no shot. Absolutely no shot. So in the absence of having a quarterback available, I might as well find out if the current quarterback I have is any good. And Slater's, I think, the best way to accomplish that. And, you know, there's like an old saying, like, if you have a great quarterback, the offensive line can be average. If you don't have a great quarterback, your offensive line needs to be top 3, because that's the only way to have a functional offense, is to either have a great quarterback or a great offensive line, preferably both, but you got to at least have one. So Rashawn Slater, I think, is a no-brainer pick to me in the absence of having no quarterbacks available. So throw that on the ticker. Back-to-back OTs. You notice a trend, an interesting trend. Let me take a sip of water here. Oh, man, you ever talked for 45 straight minutes and not taking a sip of water? Fuck. If you notice a trend here, we've not had a defensive player taken yet. I think that's going to change with Dallas going with J.C. Horn, the best DB prospect that I have personally graded, Saints Jalen Ramsey. I did a film room episode on him not too long ago. Was it 2 weeks ago? His length, his physicality, his technique, his intelligence. He has every single box checked when it comes to a corner. And there's this thing from Chris Sims is like, oh, he's a walking DPI. He didn't even put him in his corner rankings because he's like, he's going to get flagged too much in the NFL. Does he watch how corners play in the NFL? Like the great corners in the league play exactly like J.C. Horn. Ramsey mugs people. Richard Sherman in his prime mugged people. Like that is not an uncommon thing to have that play style. Like that is how it's done because great corners know they're not going to call everything. Like it's more likely that they're going to call DPI if you're like 10 yards off and driving on something, you get on it early, than if you have a hand on his chest and you're hip to hip and you're looking at the eyes of the quarterback and you're chopping across the front of the body. Like that's less likely to get called than being like a soft and off corner that then comes up and tries to time the hit on a slant and gets there early. Like there's more DPIs from that than anything else. So this whole argument of like, oh, he's a walking penalty. No, he's not. He plays the exact same style that elite corners in the NFL play. Marcus Peters played that way. Jalen Ramsey, Richard Sherman, Aqib Talib. You get on the line of great press corners. They do everything that JC does. One hand in the chest, one hand in the shoulder blade. They might get called illegal contact every now and then, but not nearly as much as Sims is making it out to be. Like he plays professional corner technique, and if he disagrees with that, then I think he needs to watch more Jalen Ramsey because he does the exact same stuff. And Jalen Ramsey is not a walking penalty. Jalen Ramsey is the best corner in the league because he plays like that. So Sims is more accurate than any of these ass clowns. So let me throw this up real quick. Sims gets some stuff right, just like we all get some stuff right. Sims gets some stuff wrong, like we all get some stuff wrong. It's just some of the reasons for why he has certain things. Like, again, it's not that I disagree with his ranking of Tevin Jenkins being the 6th offensive lineman. That's fine. Like, whatever. We can see different stuff. But it's when he says Oklahoma State ran the ball 4 times all year. They never run the ball. They're in the Big 12. Oklahoma State ran the ball more than Alabama. Like, you can put Tevin Jenkins at 6. At least just do it on accurate information. That's all I care about. Like, I don't give a shit where you have him ranked. Just at least do it on accurate information. Like, you can not like J.C. Horn's talent. That's fine. At least be accurate. Like, don't say he's a walking penalty and therefore all of his other skills don't matter when other corners in the NFL play the exact same way and are not walking penalties. Like, that's just a lack of understanding of DB technique. Like, straight up, lack of understanding of DB technique. Again, I don't have a problem with where he ranks people. I have a problem sometimes with why he ranks people the way he does. Because anyway, I don't want to get too deep into it. It's just a pet peeve of mine. I don't mind Chris Sims. He has his, we all have our opinions. Whatever. Anyway, clearly I started with the Glenn Morangi a little bit early today. Let's go to number 11 with the New York Giants. We have another defensive player coming off the board, and that is Jalen Phillips, my number 1 edge rusher. When you look at the Giants depth chart on defense, really the only problem, not even problem, only area of concern I would say they have is edge rusher. I want them to be able to rush the passer with something other than blitzes. Like I want them to be able to generate pressure without having to send 5 or 6 guys. Like, again, that's kind of their calling card of like, hey, we're going to throw crazy blitzes at you on 3rd and 7. That's fine. I want them to have another club in the bag to be able to rush with 4 and still get home. And Jalen Phillips, I think, gives them that club in the bag. Again, I did a film room on him. I listed all the reasons why he's my number 1 edge. My pure film grade on him is just a tick below, all the other top pass rushers that have come out. Chase Young, Bradley Chubb, Khalil Mack, all those guys. Like it's not that far off. The one update ticker. Yeah, you're right. I got to do that. The one problem that you can really point to is the concussions, which is a perfectly fair thing to say. of like, hey, I'm worried about, the forced retirement. I'm worried about the concussions. It's fair to think that. And I won't decry anybody for that. I personally don't have as big of a concern about it. I just kind of more go off tape grades because that's really I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychiatrist. Like I don't get to do background checks on what these guys are like off the field. I don't get to do medical checks. All I can do is look at guys on the field and give opinions based on tape grades. Jalen Phillips' tape grade is incredible. He's got everything you want: burst, bend, power, length, technique, intelligence as a pass rusher, like his ability to use one move and then set you up with it so that he can cash in on the counter 3 plays later. He is a unique pass rusher in this class because he's got everything. The only guys that are even close to him, in my opinion, are Joe Tryon and Peyton Turner. And even they are not on his level. So Jalen Phillips, again, I think it gives the Giants the ability to generate pressure without having to blitz. You can do more. I mean, if you really want to like run creepers and stuff like that, so it still gives the illusion of a blitz, but you're still rushing with 4. Inevitably, that's going to give Jalen Phillips more one-on-ones, and then he's going to be able to cash in on those because I think he's a really phenomenal pass rusher. So I understand. I have Jalen Phillips higher than everybody else. But unlike some other draft analysts, at least I have a why. I have a reason for it. Like, he's a really damn good player. And I'll say this: me and Sims, we agree on Jalen Phillips. He is Jalen Phillips way high up there as well. So again, I don't disagree with everything he says. We agree on Jalen Phillips. I'll leave it at that. Pick number 12. The Eagles, after trading down from 6, still get a player that they would probably honestly consider at 6 anyway, which is Patrick Surtain from Alabama. Man, people really want Waddle in the chat. I understand the hype for giving Waddle to Jalen Hurts, but I feel like I feel like he's not the profile of receiver that they need the most right now. I feel like the same role that Waddle plays is one that they hope that Jalen Reagor would play. I really want more of like a boundary guy for them. So I would be looking at like potentially a trade down scenario, and you pick up Terrace Marshall, who compares to me like a faster version of Kenny Galladay. You could look at like a Trayvon Grimes on day 2. Maybe like a trade down for Rashad Bateman, he's not like the biggest boundary guy, but I think he plays well for his size. Like there's big receivers that I think they can look at later in the draft after another trade down. But in the absence of that, where I just got to stick and pick, best player available at a position and a role of need. Nico Collins is another one. Chat just pointed out. Cornell Powell, like again, the list goes on and on. There's a shit ton of receivers in this class. Jonathan Adams from Arkansas State, I think is the school. Again, great jump ball receiver. But Patrick Surtain, I think, is the best combination of talent and filling a role that is necessary to fill. Like they don't have any boundary corners that I feel really good about right now. They need a guy that can actually line up man-to-man, play man coverage, beat the shit out of you at the line of scrimmage, while also being a very good zone defender as well. I understand he's going to get beat inside every now and then. I feel like he doesn't hold up against inside releases as well as Jaycee Horn, which is why I have Jaycee a little bit higher than him. But he's still, again, he's one of these guys where you're not going to beat him down the boundary on a shot play. You're just not. He's a phenomenally patient corner. He's got all the speed in the world, all the explosiveness, the hip fluidity, all that kind of stuff. I have no qualms about him as an athlete. And I just think he's very consistent. Like you look at, again, him surviving as a starter in the SEC for as long as he did against as many NFL receivers as he did. He's about as safe as it gets in this entire draft. So in the absence of being able to trade down, I'm going to stick and pick Patrick Surtain here because he's a really damn good player. Oh, ticker. I know, chat. I know. Let me start up another one. Stupid StreamYards and your limits. Oh, okay. And at that. Oh, no. Why did that not work? I really got to do like OBS or something. I know a lot of people like OBS for streaming. I got to learn to use that. See if that works better. StreamYards is great, but man, there's some shit that really annoys me about it. All right, pick number 13. Now we come to the Chargers. And this was an interesting one because if J.C. Horn or Patrick Surtain was there, when you look at their corner situation, I really wanted a corner that could actually play press on the outside, because that's like the one thing that they're really missing on that defense is a corner that can play press. But with Horn and Surtain gone, now I got to look elsewhere. And I think the most valuable player still on the board that fits a position of need is Christian Darrisaw, the left tackle out of Virginia Tech. And he's been kind of like the forgotten man in this tackle class. You know, a lot of people, they love Penei, they love Slater. And then, you know, we all love Jenkins, especially if you watch the Texas game. And there's some guys like Stone Forsythe and Sam Cosmi that have gotten their time in the sun. And people just kind of forgot about Christian Darrisaw. But he is as consistent and as high potential as it gets in this class. Like he's a different kind of athlete to Penei Sewell and Rashawn Slater, but I think he's an equivalent athlete in his own special ways. Like particularly if you watch him on like zone run plays on backside cutoffs, it's unreal. Like the way he moves, how quickly he's able. Like if you're just doing like a slip block and the guard barely touches a three technique, and like sometimes a three technique will still be able to shoot in the backfield and disrupt the play. Like Christian Darrisaw is so quick that even if the guard doesn't get a good jam, he's still going to be able to whip around, get on the front side shoulder, and just drive that dude into fucking Narnia. Like his backside cutoffs are legendary. Like they're the best in this class, other than maybe Rashawn Slater. But even then, like the fact that he's doing it at that size, with that length, with that power, like it's even more impressive than Rashawn Slater, because he's just a bigger, stronger dude that's still moving that quickly, that fluidly. He's unreal. He's absolutely unreal. Like there's some games where I feel like, you know, maybe it doesn't show up as much as it should on tape, like his physical dominance, but you watch him against like a legit NFL rusher like Quincy Roche, he got nothing. I think there was like 52 pass sets in that game, and Roche did jack shit, like literally zero pressures. He's legit. He's a legit top 15 talent as a pass protector. Again, length, power, technique. He's one of those like rare tackles where, you know, they get a reputation where it's like, oh, I want to run behind that guy. Like Mekhi Becton last year, Tristan Wirfs, like they generated so much power at the point of attack. You're like, oh, I want to run behind that guy on outside zone. I want to run away from Christian Darrisaw because the cutback lanes that he creates on his cutoffs are just absurd. I can't remember exactly what game it was, but you just go on YouTube and watch any of his games, and you watch his backside cutoffs on zone runs. it's gnarly. He's a really good talent. Now I know there's a lot of Vikings fans that are upset because they really want Christian Darrisaw, but you're still getting a good player. I promise. I didn't leave you out in the dirt. I'm going to update the ticker, and you'll see what I mean. When I look at the Vikings offensive line, really what I want to upgrade the most is the interior. Their depth chart right now, let me get the exact names just so I can put this into perspective for you right now. Their guard depth chart right now is Ezra Cleveland and Drew Samia at right guard. You better pray to God that Samia never starts for them again. And then you got Dakota Dozier and Kyle Hinton at left guard. The only one of those that I might have any faith in whatsoever is Ezra Cleveland. But to me, he's more of a tackle than a guard. I got to get a good interior lineman for Kirk's sake, because it's bad. It's really bad. So I'm going to go with Elijah Vera Tucker from USC. And again, I know a lot of people would say, well, this offensive line class is really great. You're going to get great interior linemen day two. Robert Jones, Robert Hainsey from Notre Dame's, you know, being looked at to convert inside. He's a tackle that I think can have high upside as a center or guard. There's a lot of guys that I think are good day two interior offensive linemen, but a lot of them are more like gap scheme guards to me. Like Robert Jones is not really a zone guy. I think he's going to be an absolute ass kicker coming out of what is it, Middle Tennessee. He's a tackle at Middle Tennessee, and he's converting to guard. He's an ass kicker on power and gap. But in terms of having the foot quickness, the hip fluidity, and everything like that to operate in a zone system where you got to reach block a guy that's, half a gap over, and you might not help. You might not have help depending on, the alignment of the linebackers. Like the center might just need to go, and you got to do it by yourself. You need to have a guard that's quick enough to do that. Elijah Vera Tucker is quick enough to do that. Not to mention he's a phenomenal pass protector. Kayvon Thibodeaux gave him a little bit of trouble, but Kayvon Thibodeaux gives everybody trouble. So I don't really hold that really against him. It's like when Chase Young beats people. And he's like, well, he lost to Chase Young. Yeah, no shit. The only guy who didn't lose to Chase Young was Rashawn Slater, and he's a top 10 pick. So I don't really worry about, the Oregon game when he was going against Tibbs, because Tibbs does that to everybody. But you look at his tape as a guard, he's such a fluid mover. His ability to locate, track, and lock onto guys on the second level is just so rare for a guard. His movement skills are just buttery smooth. And he's exactly what the Vikings need. I actually refuse, even though I love the Bears, that if I was a Vikings general manager, I refuse to go into the season with even the possibility of Drew Samia starting for me, or Dozier, or any of those guys. I will not do that again. It has been way too long since the Vikings have had not just average guard play. It's been too long since they've had below average guard play. They've been awful. They've been arguably the worst, like in terms of like performance at guard, right or left. They've arguably been the worst guard duo in the NFL for years now. I refuse to continue that trend. It's just too much. So Elijah Vera Tucker to USC. Let me add that one to the ticker. I know a lot of Vikings fans are looking for defensive end, but this is a very good edge class. You're going to be able to get one on day two. Now, pick 15. This is where I finally see Mac Jones coming off the board. Will Mac Jones go higher than this? Yes. Almost guarantee it. And I do have particular things that I don't like about Mac Jones's game, but I still think he's a very good prospect. I still think he's a very good quarterback. I have a higher grade on Mac than I do on Tua last year. Like I did a film room on it where I was like, hey, here's what Tua does well. He's not really special athletically. He doesn't have a great arm, not super big. Like if you're giving him an offense he can operate, he can absolutely do that. Like Mac Jones, I think is that, but with a better arm. He does everything that Tua does, but with a better arm. Now, his arm is not nearly as good as Wilson, Lance, Fields, Lawrence. So I'm not taking him top 5. I'm not taking him top 10. But at least it's a better arm than Tua. So I still think that at least I think he is a functional starting quarterback. I think he's got decent pocket move. Like this whole thing about, oh, he's the most athletic quarterback in the pocket. No, he's fucking not. He's just not. But it's decent. The arm is not great, but it's decent. The decision making is it's a hard thing to knock because he has so few starts, and his guys were open so much that you don't really have to see him move, 1, 2, 3, 4 that much. But I thought overall, like when his process got sped up under pressure against Georgia, that's when you saw the decision making break down a little bit. But again, that was like the only game he was under pressure. So it's tough to say. It's like, was that just because it's a guy who was on like a very, what is it, 6th or 7th career start at that point? Like, is that why? Or is it a legitimate problem? That much I'm not entirely sure. But what I do know is that I would much rather have Mac Jones than a lot of the other quarterbacks that are going to go, at least the rest of this quarterback class. I think there's a cliff after Mac Jones that is steep, very steep. And I also know that the Patriots are too good of a team to be anywhere near the top of the draft next year to get like a Matt Corral or whoever, the North Carolina kid that's coming out. And they're definitely not going to be high enough to get, like DJ Uiagalelei, Bryce Young, any of the 2023 kids. Like They're too good of a team. Like they bottomed out last year and they're picking 15. Mac Jones is what they're going to get. A Mac Jones level prospect is all they're going to get with that level of team. So since he's available, and since I know that he's a good quarterback, he's not like an elite one, but he's good. Since he's available, I'm going Mac Jones, sit behind Cam. And if Cam works out long term, not even long term, if Cam works out for a couple years, that's great. Gives Mac a little bit more time to develop. But if Cam, if the shoulder's just not there, if he just can't get in sync with Aguilar and these tight ends and everything like that, you at least have an option to throw in there that's better than their backup options last year, because their backup options last year were even worse than what Cam was giving them. So overall, like again, Mac Jones, not an elite quarterback prospect, but he's a good one, and a good quarterback is still worthy of a top half of the first round pick to me. Now, pick number 16 to Arizona. Actually, let me grab this, throw in the ticker. Throw that in. Oh, no, we hit the cap. Pick 16 with Arizona. And now is where I really like Jalen Waddle coming off the board here. I think when you look at the Arizona wide receiver room, I love DeAndre Hopkins. Absolutely love DeAndre Hopkins. AJ Green's there in a 1-year rental. Christian Kirk has only got 1 year left on his deal. Andy Isabella did not turn into what I think they hoped for. Full disclosure, I was pounding the table for DK Metcalf for them. Like on day 2, like I was after DK didn't go to the Patriots at 32 and they took N'Keal Harry. I was pounding the table. I said, Arizona, if you care anything about my mental health, you will take DK Metcalf. They took Andy Isabella. Didn't work out for him. So I think Jalen Waddle's a way to kind of right that wrong a little bit, getting a dynamic deep threat that also does other stuff. Again, he's a phenomenal slot receiver, great with the ball in his hands. If you want to work the screen game with him, I think you can put him on special teams. Like he is everything that I think they hoped that Andy Isabella would eventually be and more. His burst is unreal. He's a great complementary weapon to what they already have with DeAndre. And again, I like Christian Kirk, but he's only got a year left on his deal. And I don't necessarily think that Christian Kirk is dynamic enough to ever start ahead of Jalen Waddle. And again, AJ Green's only going to be there for a year anyway as well. So I think Jalen Waddle is a good combination of best player available, fills a need, not just this year, but in the future, because their wide receiver room might literally just be DeAndre Hopkins and Jalen Waddle after this year. So I think he fits a future need as well. And he's just a really damn good player. Really, really good player. I love Jalen Waddle. He's in my tier 2 of receivers with Terrace Marshall. If you caught that, by the way. And Terrace Marshall, I know a lot of people were like, why the hell do you have Terrace Marshall as an equivalent prospect to Jalen Waddle? Like, why do you not have Waddle ahead of him? For certain teams, I do have Waddle ahead of Marshall. Like for Arizona, specifically for the role they need to fill, I would rather have Waddle because I already have some jump ball receivers with DeAndre and AJ Green. I don't need Terrace Marshall, but I need Jalen Waddle. So even though I have them in the same tier, where I have them going in the draft is going to mostly depend on what role you need to fill and scheme fit and everything like that. So I do want to take a second to get another drink of water because this is, whoo, man, doing this live one after another is hard. I don't know how streamers do this shit. How does like Ninja function? How do these guys do this for 8 hours a day? Like, good God, I feel like I'm losing my voice and I'm bet on for an hour and 8 minutes. Good God. This is just crazy. The stamina it takes to be a streamer. Like, I don't know how people do that full time. Thank God I have whiskey. G Fuel. What's in that, by the way? I just see like a bunch of people that like play Call of Duty get sponsored by them. They're like, yeah, it's G Fuel. It just seems like a Monster knockoff or something like that. Ninja is a Lions fan? Really? That's weird. Vitamins and caffeine. Yeah, no, G Fuel doesn't look appetizing. I mean, if they'll sponsor me and give me money, G Fuel's amazing. But I never really had the desire to drink G Fuel. I have leftover espresso that I'm gonna attack after this because I have a whole bunch of other pre-draft work to do. Explains his blue hair. Now, I do want to take a second, by the way, to thank the people that made this possible. Because I was in between a rock and a hard place. Not gonna lie. I had Felix Gray sponsoring the mock draft this year because it's their birthday week. It's like their biggest sale of the year. And when the audio stuff broke down, I reached out to them and I was like, hey, I might have to give you the money back because this is going to be a shitty situation. Like I can't do it. And they're like, no, if you find a way, we'll stick with you. So they were really cool with supporting me. And if you don't know who Felix Gray is, like I keep them right by my desk all the time. They make blue light glasses. And so like when I'm editing all the time, I was up till 3 o'clock in the morning yesterday editing. And I use these blue light glasses, and they keep me from getting the migraines that I used to get while editing. And I know I look super weird with glasses on. I'm fully aware of how I look with these on, but they really do. God, I can really tell the difference already. They really do kind of help cut down on the migraines. Like I used to, I guess you could say, self-medicate with caffeine to kind of cut down on the headaches because caffeine was like the only thing that would work, either that or Excedrin. And then I got these, God, it must have been like a year ago, and I noticed an immediate difference. And so I've been using them ever since. Like I would have had them here whether they were paying me or not. So I want to thank Felix Gray for still supporting me, still keeping and not making me give back the money that I needed to use to buy a new mic for this anyway. So they're a really cool company. If you guys also get migraines, if you have any interest in blue light glasses, like they block, I think it's 15 times more than other brands of blue light. You can go to their website. I have the link in the description below. They have a 15% off discount right now for their birthday special. Again, huge props to Felix Gray for stepping up and letting me kind of wing this mock draft in a way that I never even thought of doing before. But we're moving along. We're trying to make it work today. Oh God, I just need the draft to be here so I can sleep again. Can you tell with the rings, by the way? Can you tell how little I've slept in the last week? Oh, pick 17 with the Raiders. And how perfect is it for Tevin Jenkins to be sitting there at 17? One of my favorite players at any position in this entire class. You watch the film room I did on him. I mean, he's making offensive lines great again. Like his ability to kick ass and take names every single snap, whether he's a run blocker, whether he's a pass protector. I mean, he just gets dudes on the ground. The amount of pancakes per game that this guy does are just it's breathtaking. Like you watch that Texas game alone, and that's some of the most entertaining tape again for any prospect at any position in this entire class. He's a refined technician. He's got the length. Like there was a little bit of concern about length. Let me add that ticker back in. Sorry for people that are trying to keep track. There was a little bit of concern about length, but then he came in and measured at 33 inches arm length, which is perfectly fine for me. Is it ideal to have 34 plus? Yes, but it's not like a game breaker to me to have sub 34-inch arms. It's really about how you use them. And his hand placement is phenomenal. His timing, his punch strength is phenomenal. And, there's a lot of tackles in the league that have sub 34-inch arms that do just fine. Like Joe Thomas had sub 34-inch arms. But again, his hand placement, his timing, just the raw power in his punch was enough to get it done. And I think the same for Tevin Jenkins. And when you look at his overall athletic profile, by the way, at his size, like 6'5", 315, 320, his jumps, his cones, like his relative athletic score came out as a top 35 tackle out of every tackle prospect in the last 30 years. So that's 1,600 dudes. And he was top 35 in terms of relative athleticism at his size. So the dude's a great athlete. And again, just having that 33-inch arm length was enough for me. When you combine that with his tenacity, his technique, his intelligence, he's a slam dunk pick for me. I think he's going to be a fantastic tackle. And I think the Raiders would love to have him, and he would be there for a very long time. Now, pick 18. This is an interesting one. I'm going to update the ticker for you before I get into it because this one's going to kind of go against my player rankings a little bit, but keep in mind the rankings are a little bit scheme agnostic, whereas the mock draft really takes scheme into account. Like I prioritize scheme fit over a lot of different things because in the end, I'm not drafting for 32 teams at once. I'm drafting for 32 teams individually. So let me throw this in the ticker. So when I look at the Miami Dolphins defense at 18, and what they really need is a linebacker, but not the linebacker you think. I'm going to go with Zaven Collins from Tulsa, who is in my tier 2 of linebackers below Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, but his fit with Miami, I think, is better than any other linebacker in this class. He is a phenomenal Dante Hightower clone. He would play that kind of role for them in terms of 6'4", 260, 265. He can cover, plays the run well, blitzes well. Like Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is phenomenal. He would also fit this defense, but you can get an undersized, lighter linebacker that you can put in the slot later in the draft. Like there's some guys that I think can also do that that are a little bit later in this class. There's not a whole lot of dudes built like Zaven Collins. It's kind of the same argument with like Ja'Marr Chase and Kyle Pitts. You take the rare guy first, and then you fill in around the rare guy. Zaven Collins is the rare guy with his build, his athleticism, his role. I think when I look at the Miami Dolphins defense, they are craving a guy that can play like Dante Hightower. They just traded for Benardrick McKinney just to try to get something in that wheelhouse. But keep in mind that Benardrick McKinney, they can cut for no penalty. Like the contract is structured in a way that they lose nothing by cutting him. And Zaven Collins, I think, can be a better player than Benardrick McKinney, not just in the future, but right now. When you look at his athletic ceiling, I mean, it's Brian Urlacher. Like EJ, my podcast partner, made a great point. Like you look at his height, his weight, his speed, his everything, and right down the line, it is within 5% of Brian Urlacher, either plus or minus in every single category. So I think if you're getting that kind of physical talent with a coaching staff that will use him the way that he should be used, which is in a Dante Hightower role, there's let me see if I can put this in perspective. So there's a guy named Coach Vass who, if you follow me on Twitter, like I lean on Coach Vass a lot. He knows more about football than almost anybody else I know, if not everybody else I know. He's a defensive guru. And he also has a YouTube channel where he's breaking down, fronts and coverages for the Patriots defense because he knows all their calls. Like he has all their terminology. He has everything from them. And the way that he broke down how they use Dante Hightower as a pass rusher, both on the edge, as a 3 technique, as a nose tackle. Like they use Dante Hightower as a freaking nose tackle because he's Dante Hightower. He's unique. You can do that with him. He's one of the only linebackers in the league that you can do that with. And that's why their defense is so multiple. That's why they can use so many different fronts and play all those wild coverages behind it, is because they have a guy like Dante Hightower. Zaven Collins, I think, can give Brian Flores that same kind of matchup piece where it's like, I want him rushing over the tackle. I want him rushing over the guard. I can put him at 270, line him up as basically a nose, and there you go. Like he's a unique player that is a perfect fit for what they do. And if you don't believe me, go watch Coach Vass's videos on the Patriots defense and tell me that they don't need a guy like Zaven Collins. They do. I know they have Benardrick McKinney. I don't give a shit. Zaven Collins is better. So he's Collins essentially bar 2.0. That's not a bad comparison. I feel like Zaven's a little bit better in coverage. But in terms of not even like role, but like Barr, I think is a really underrated pass rusher. Like when they line him up in those double mug looks and say, go get the quarterback, he's really good at that. Zaven, I think, can do that as well, while also offering a little bit more of a coverage component than Anthony does. Because Anthony, like they stopped calling certain coverages a while ago once teams figure out that, hey, if we call leak with a slot receiver, that means that Anthony Barr is going to end up covering him 30 yards down the field when they're running Rip Liz. Let's just do that over and over again. And like the Rams got a touchdown with Cooper Kupp off that, where it's like, hey, he's got a match first crosser and he can't run with Cooper Kupp. Let's abuse the shit out of that. Like Zaven Collins, I think, could actually run with Cooper Kupp. Anthony Barr cannot. I love Anthony Barr, but it's just different kind of dude. Now, pick number 19 here. Let me grab this and add it to the ticker. Again, sorry, boys. We're getting through this okay. It's a decent pace. Hour and 20 minutes in. We're right on pace. I was expecting the pre-recorded mock draft to be like 2.5 hours. So we're making decent time here. Now, pick number 19 for Washington. I've got Samuel Cosmi from Texas going to the Washington football team. And again, this was a case of, okay, who's best player available at a position of need? And Washington's roster, let me share a screen with you guys so you can kind of get a refresher on it. Washington's roster is pretty good. Like overall, like this is a very fun team. And so when you look at what they have to offer, you got Terry and Curtis Samuel at receiver. Antonio Gandy Golden's a big body guy that I'm a fan of. The offensive line, especially on the right side, is rock solid. Logan Thomas at tight end's intriguing. Like, you can consider maybe like a Pat Freiermuth here, but I don't necessarily think that's a priority. Obviously, you're not going to get quarterback. There's already 5 off the board, and you're not taking Kellen Mond at 19, so that's out the window. Running back's obviously fine with Antonio Gibson. The defense doesn't really have that many holes. Like, you can argue JOK here at linebacker. You can absolutely argue JOK here, but I felt like there's going to be a tackle run for the ages in the 20s and early second round. And I when I look at this team, I think they're really a left tackle away from making serious noise in the NFC. Like, say what you want about Ryan Fitzpatrick, but if you're surrounding him with these weapons, with this offensive line and that defense, that is a scary team. So I would rather try to tap into that very underrated linebacker, like tier 2 of linebackers on day 2. The Jamin Davises, the Pete Warners. Like, I would rather tap into that and get like a legit left tackle round 1 than go, JOK round 1 and then, try to get the scraps of that tackle run in round 2, which might be best case scenario Spencer Brown, maybe. So again, we're looking at package deals here. I think Cosmi and, pick a linebacker would be a better deal here. So let me stop sharing that. And Washington's fun, man. I might, assuming the stadium's going to be open, I might go out to a game there next year, because I've always, like, I got friends that live in Bethesda. They're not too far away. I can go make it kind of a cheap trip and kind of go to like a division game, like something full of hatred. Eagles, Giants, Cowboys at Washington, seeing that defensive line in person. That would be fun. I think it'd be fun. Just go stay in Bethesda for a little bit. Now, pick number 20. Oops, I accidentally have that as a ticker. Add that one. There we go. All right, pick number 20. Now, the Bears, unfortunately, for all of us, well, at least for me and for EJ, missing out on quarterback here. And there's talk of them trading up, like, hey, if Justin Fields slides, go get Justin Fields. Yeah, no brainer. I don't think Justin Fields is going to slide that much. Like, he's not getting past 9. That's for damn sure. And he's not getting to 32. You know who you are that did that today. He's not getting to 32. So they're kind of sold out on quarterback. So my next best option is to just try to make Andy Dalton work the best way that I can, while also, to a degree, future-proofing the roster. I know that Allen Robinson's not sticking around for more than a year. He's not signing up for two plus years of, the corpse of Andy Dalton. And Kellen Mond, I guess, is who you go for in round 2. Like, he's not signing up for that. He's gone after this year. So I need to get a guy not just that can make Andy Dalton a better player this year, but that can help a young quarterback that we can eventually get in the future after the Andy Dalton experience is over. And so I'm going to go with Terrace Marshall from LSU, who's the last remaining receiver in my top 4. He's in my tier 2 of receivers, equivalent grade to Jalen Waddle, but again, different kind of role. He's more of a Kenny Golladay jump ball, red zone warrior type of receiver. Very underrated route runner, though. like much better route runner than he's given credit for. He kind of stepped in and played that slot role this year that Justin Jefferson played last year. And you don't get to play that role unless you can run routes. Very good short area quickness. In 2019 with Burrow, he was mostly used as like a boundary receiver. They really loved when they would go 3-by-1, they would put him as the outside receiver to the trip side, like even if they were far hash. And the thing with like 3-by-1, when you're on the hash, is you pretty much never throw to the outside receiver because it's a long way to go. Like the hashes are wider in college. That is a long throw. And not to mention that in a lot of like the match quarter stuff that people play in college, especially in the SEC, like it's everywhere in the SEC. Most of the time, if you're 3-by-1, you're either working the ISO on the backside or you're working the slot. The number one receiver is not thrown to that much unless you have a guy like Terrace Marshall who can turn a 50-50 ball at best into an 80-20 ball. And he actually led all of college football in contested catch rate at like 82, 83%, which is disgusting. So he was the guy that kind of went against conventional wisdom. And you saw Joe Burrow throwing far hash deep balls to number one outside for touchdowns. You saw it in the Texas game. You saw it in, I think it was the Georgia game. And it's pretty gross. Like if you have that in your back pocket where you can spread a team out and then throw a low percentage ball that becomes a high percentage ball just because of who you're throwing it to, now you're cooking with gas. So I think the fact that he can play that ISO role or play number one and give you options down either boundary, that's pretty special. Not to mention he has slot experience. Again, in the 2020 season, he worked in the slot a lot. He's a very complete receiver, great ball skills. There's some concentration drops, I would say, every now and then, but the contested catch rate speaks for itself. Like if you can catch 83% of contested balls, and it wasn't Joe Burrow throwing it to him this year, it was somebody else. So those contested balls were not exactly well placed all the time. He still led all of college football in contested catch rate. That's pretty insane. So Terrace Marshall's a great receiver, one of my top 4 receivers in this class. And for him to go all the way at 20, kind of speaks to the depth of this class, the depth on the offensive line, the quarterback class. You got some wild cards here and there like Zaven Collins, the corners and everything like that. Like it's going to push guys like Terrace Marshall down. And then you're going to look back in a few years and say, how the hell did he go at 20? and this is the exact scenario. This is how it happens. It's just quarterbacks push people down. Marshall Jr. is the new Brandon Marshall. That's not a bad comp. Brandon Marshall was, what's the word? Thicker. Like he had a little bit more beef to him. And I think Terrace Marshall's got a little bit more deep speed, but Brandon Marshall, the same kind of play style where it's like balls in the air, he's going to go get it. Exactly the same kind of play style. So I agree with that. Let me add him to the ticker now. We can get into 21. All right. Colts at 21. Now I'm going to share. Let me get rid of this comment. How do I do that? Oh, no. There we go. Now, Colts at 21. I'm going to share my screen so you can kind of get a sense of their roster here because there's a name that's going to immediately pop out here. Our Lads, by the way, is a great website for depth charts. If you're ever in a pinch and you need to look at a depth chart quick, go to Our Lads. They got all of them pretty well updated. So you see what's wrong here with this picture? Sam Tevi or Julian Davenport are your two options at left tackle. If you're a Chargers fan and you ever watched Sam Tevi play, or you're a Texans fan or a Dolphins fan and you ever watched Julian Davenport play, yes, Philippe, I see your comments. Oh God, here comes Stone Forsyth. You're goddamn right. Here comes Stone Forsyth. He's my 21st pick. Great call, by the way. You knew exactly where I was going. But they can't go into, you just traded for Carson Wentz, who had a lot of trouble dealing with pressure. You can't go into this season with Sam Tevi or Julian Davenport as your left tackle. There's no fucking way. There's no way. And when you look at Stone Forsyth, I get it. He's not a great run blocker. Sometimes I don't think the dude even knows the run game exists. you're calling outside zone. He's like, so I just get in the way, right? Like I don't have to push anybody. I just kind of put my body in the way. Like he doesn't run block at all. But that dude can fucking pass protect. Like you watch him against Azeez Ojulari, that Georgia game, I tweeted out a while ago, like that Georgia game is going to put Stone Forsythe in the first round, and it's going to put Azeez Ojulari in the second round because Azeez Ojulari got nothing against him in pass pro. Like Stone Forsythe is a great pass protector, monstrous length. I think there's a few reps in the Oklahoma game where they beat him inside a little bit, but I when I look at his tape as a pass protector, that kind of length, that kind of size, that kind of hand placement, the fact that he was shutting down a guy like Azeez Ojulari, who's an NFL caliber, edge player, and the only real guys that were beating him were like Ronnie Perkins to the inside, who's another NFL caliber pass rusher. Like I look at his pass protection ability and I say, I can try to train him up as a run blocker, but I can't go through the season with Julian Davenport giving up 8 pressures a game. I can't do it. Not with Carson Wentz as my quarterback. There's a few quarterbacks I can get away with it. Carson Wentz is not one of them. So I think there's going to be a massive tackle run starting in the 20s, going into like the first 10 to 15 picks of round 2. Just what like with with a couple picks ago with Washington, it's like the best case scenario. You're getting Spencer Brown, like maybe Brady Christensen, and that's a pipe dream at this point. Like you're not going to get a great as deep as this tackle class is. You're not going to get what you think you are late in round 2. The sweet spot is probably late round 1, early round 2, not late round 2. You're not getting one. So I'm going to go Stone Forsythe. Again, great pass protector. I know he has limitations as a run blocker, but my back's against the wall here. I have no option. I have no option to make this offense work with my current left tackle situation and with my quarterback situation. I got to do it. I know it's probably a little bit of a reach, but not by as much as you think. Not by as much as you think. Again, watch the Georgia game. Watch what he did to Azeez Ojulari. You'll understand what I'm talking about. Now, pick 22 here. Let me hide that. Start up a new ticker. And I'm not even looking at chat right now. I will in a second, but I know you guys are probably just losing your fucking mind. Stone Forsythe, he's gonna go higher than you think in the actual draft. He really is. Some people are saying, oh, he's a top 100 pick. No, he's a lot higher than that. He's not just top 100. Take a zero off that. Take a zero off that. He's going to go top 50, I think. Easily top 50. Now, pick number 22 with Tennessee. This is one of my personal favorites and definitely one of EJ's favorites in this class, and that's Elijah Moore from Ole Miss. He is he's kind of like the diet Jalen Waddle. Like if you miss out on Jalen Waddle, you can still do a lot of damage with Elijah Moore in all of the same ways that Jalen Waddle does damage. Like he's a great slot receiver, great deep threat. You use him on jet sweeps, and I mean he's a legitimate threat with the ball in his hands, like as a running back. And so you do a lot of the same stuff with Jalen Waddle that you do with Elijah Moore, and you're going to get similar, if not equal, value. There was a tweet, I can't remember who it was, that said like every team I've talked to has Elijah Moore in their top 4 receivers. Yeah, I mean he's top 5 for me. Like I have him just a notch below Waddle and Marshall, but again, it's just a notch below, and I think he's a lock for the first round. Physical profile wise, he's damn near identical to Brandon Cooks. And say what you want about Brandon Cooks, he's got a lot of 1,000-yard seasons, and people keep trading first round picks for him. So clearly the NFL likes Brandon Cooks a lot. I wish that, Brandon landed in some not better situations, but I feel like he was early in his career when he was in his prime. I wish he got utilized a little bit more than just as a deep threat, because I think he's a better route runner than he's given credit for. But if Elijah Moore profiles similarly to Brandon Cooks, and he's going to a place like Tennessee that I think will give him volume, he could put up a better season than Brandon Cooks has ever had. And Brandon Cooks has had some pretty damn good seasons. So again, I think you're looking at him as like a potential, like not just a complementary weapon for AJ Brown, but somebody who I think can be his equal in different ways, but I think his equal in terms of overall yardage production as a ball carrier, as a slot receiver, as a deep threat. Like AJ's clearly the number one, but Elijah I think can put up similar impact, similar yardage totals, similar catches, similar first downs generated, similar just points generated. He's a phenomenal receiver. He really is. He doesn't get the credit he deserves because he's a little bit on the small side, but he's a really, really damn good receiver. Why not Farley? So that's a good question. I'm going to get to him in just a second. So Farley, he's a great corner. I have him in my tier 1 of corners, and I understand that Tennessee could use another corner as well. The hard thing that I have with Caleb Farley is there's going to be some teams that don't want to take him in the first round at all. There's going to be some teams that have no qualms about his back injury at all. When you look at the actual injury, there was an article that came out, I think it was like a day or two ago, that kind of released more information about what it was. It was a deadlifting accident, and he injured the, if I'm saying this correctly, lumbosacral joint between the L5 and was a C1 vertebra discs. And so he had both of those discs injured, attaching to that joint from that deadlifting injury. He fixed one of them a year ago, and he opted not to fix the other one, I guess because it wasn't as bad. And then so people are like, oh, okay, so he had 2 back surgeries. He's having, it's a chronic problem. Not necessarily. He was training for the draft and it flared up on him because he was training too hard. He didn't opt to fix it the first time. Then he L5 and S1. Thank you, Edwin Mendoza, for throwing that up there. I couldn't remember the letter for that other one. So he opted to fix the L5, which is still fine, by the way. He says that one's had no further complications, but the S1 was what flared up while he was training, which is why he had to pull out of his pro day. He got an MRI. They said, hey, you should probably fix this so that you can play in time, or get back in time for the season. So he's like, okay, I'm going to fix it. He could have fixed it the first time around. I'm not really sure what went into the medical decision to not do that, but people are saying, oh, it's a 2 separate back surgeries. It's 2 separate surgeries, but for the same injury that happened in the same accident. He's been told that it's not going to be a chronic thing. It was just one deadlifting accident that injured 2 discs at the same time. And he just happened to finally get the second one fixed recently. With that added context, I said in my video, like, hey, this doctor said, typically with this surgery, it's 80% recovery rate, 20%, if it's chronic, like you might have to get a fusion. And like, that's what kind of scared me off. But once I saw that information last night, I was like, okay, well, if it's not chronic and, he was basically just doing a second procedure to fix what didn't get fixed in the first one, I'm not going to say it's not like a serious problem, but it's not as much of an unknown as I thought it was going to be. So, his agent, Drew Rosenhaus, has said that there's teams that are telling him he's going to get picked in the top 20. I wouldn't be shocked by that because there are some doctors that are going to say he's fine and he's a top 20 talent. Like if you're telling me like, hey, Caleb Farley is going to be 100% good to go, I'm looking at him as high as like 13 to the Chargers because they could use a corner. Like that's how high I'm looking at him. Like we could have a corner run of Horn, Surtain, and Farley in whatever order you want between 10 and 13 if their doctors say it's okay. I'm not in the room, so I don't know what they will. But that added context that we got with the injury, with the L5 and the S1, puts me a little bit more at ease. And I would not be surprised if Rosenhaus is correct and that he does go top 20, which is convenient because one pick after the Tennessee Titans at 22, at 23, I have Caleb Farley going to the Jets. I think that if there's any team in the first round, like let's say he slips out of the top 20, if there's any team in the first round that can, say like, hey, we got Justin Fields, we're playing with house money here. Let's take a guy that we're confident is going to be okay, but if worst case scenario, we still got a quarterback out of this draft class, we still have a lot of day 2 picks, we're going to be okay if one guy doesn't hit. I think the Jets have a lot of wiggle room. It's a new staff. Like they're not banking on this entire year going well for them. Like this is a free pick for them. And if you're going to use a free pick you might as well use it on a guy with as high as upside as Caleb Farley. He's got utterly insane closing speed, explosiveness that very few people alive have ever had. And he's only been playing corner for a few years. Like he's still technically, in need of a lot of refinement. But the fact that he's this good while getting beat so much, because he doesn't stay beat for long, he gets back in phase so quickly with his recovery speed that even when you beat him because of his technique issues, he's not really beat. Like you're definitely not going to throw deep on him that much because nobody can get by him. Like nobody can get past him. So I really like Caleb Farley, and with the coaching staff that the Jets are assembling, again, taking the injury stuff out of the equation, because some doctors are going to say yes, some doctors are going to say no. With the coaching staff the Jets have, I have a lot of confidence in their ability to turn Caleb Farley into an all-pro type corner. Will it happen? Will it happen immediately? Who knows? I mean, I don't even know if he's going to be ready for training camp. I have no idea. But again, this is kind of a throwaway pick for the Jets, where it's like, we already got our quarterback. We got a bunch of day two guys, down the pipe. We nailed last year's draft. Like the Jets draft class last year was awesome. If we miss on one guy, it might as well miss swinging for the fences. Like that's how I look at it. If you're going to miss big. And Caleb Farley, I think he has potential to be a massive home run for them. So let me add both Elijah Moore and Caleb Farley to the ticker, so I catch up a little bit here for people that are coming a little bit late and want to recap the last few picks. I hope that made sense, by the way, all the medical talk. Again, I'm not a doctor. I was trying to explain it how I interpreted the article. Maybe I could get a doctor on here to kind of explain it better than I could, but it didn't seem as big of a deal to me as maybe we initially thought here. Now 24, what are we on? 24? Yeah. With the Steelers. And this one might come as a surprise to a lot of people that didn't watch my defensive rankings episode, but if you watch that episode, hold for water. If you watch the defensive rankings episode, you won't be that surprised when I go Tyson Campbell from Georgia, who was also in my tier 1 of corners. And if you hadn't noticed, there's been a little bit of a legal scuffle at the corner position with the Steelers, with Justin Layne, who let's just say he might not play this year. Justin Layne, that is. So I think there's not only, I mean, there was a need at corner before, in my honest opinion. Like Justin Layne wasn't going to stop me from taking Tyson Campbell anyway, but now it's really something that I think they need a lot of corner. I think when you look at the value, though, of Tyson Campbell in that system, it's a lot of man coverage. A lot of man coverage. I mean, we're talking like 46% man coverage, if I remember correctly. And they're also number 2 in blitz percentage. So, like, what they do a lot is we are manning up on guys in press coverage. We're playing one high over the middle with Minkah, and we're sending Vince Williams after you. We are sending Devin Bush after you. And you need to have corners that can hold up in man to do that. And Tyson Campbell can hold up in man. However, what I think is also interesting about his game is that if you are playing zone, he's got better zone eyes and awareness than a lot of, pure press man corners, where it's like, this is my one job. I'm jamming you with the line and, running down the boundary. Like it's not like a Nnamdi Asomugha where it's like, I can do one thing and I can do one thing really well. Like he's more versatile than I think a lot of press corners who he can play zone very, very well as well. He's a very well coached corner. Georgia always coaches their guys really well. But Tyson Campbell, I think when you factor in the physical ability, the press man ability, the zone ability, like that 4.3 speed is legit. I really, really like him. And I know he got beat up in the Bama game a little bit. Like Jalen Waddle got him for a 90-yard touchdown. But when you go back and watch that play, like he tripped over Waddle's feet because Mac Jones hung the ball like 10 yards inside on a go ball, which he didn't expect that, because who the fuck throws into a corner's leverage on a go ball over the middle? Anyway, I don't want to talk too much shit about Mac Jones, but it was an interestingly placed throw. I'll just say that. And so Waddle had to kind of like circle through his leverage to get to it, basically at the hash mark. And Tyson Campbell tripped over his foot and gave up a 90-yard touchdown. If he didn't trip over his foot, like, I honestly think he had the leverage position and the speed to recover and break that thing up. So again, I know he gave up a lot of yards in the Bama game, but you got to look at each catch individually. Like, it was that 90-yarder to Waddle. It was, Devonta Smith running comebacks and like literally running 6 yards back to the ball to make sure that he got enough separation. Like, if you're losing to two receivers that are going in the top 15, yeah, it's going to happen. So I love Tyson Campbell. I think he's a very talented corner, very technically refined, and I think he's a perfect fit for what the Steelers need, which is a press man corner that can go out there and just hold up long enough for all those blitzes to get home, because they're a blitz happy team. That's what they do. So I'm going to add him to the ticker real quick. Bear with me. We are making great time, fellas. Look at us. Look at us make this work. Throwing shit together at the last minute. Maybe one day I'll know what I'm doing. How about that? Wouldn't that be great if I knew what I was doing for once? Oh, God. All right. Pick 25. Where are we? Jacksonville. So this was the pick they got from the Rams, if I remember correctly. And so when I look at Jacksonville's depth chart, let me pull this up for you guys so you can get a sense. Not a lot of people are familiar with what they actually have on defense. So let me get this up for you guys, and you can see what I'm looking at. Where the hell are they? AFC South. There we go. There we go. All right. So when you look at Jacksonville's defense, they're bringing in Joe Cullen, who was the defensive line coach from the Ravens, to be their DC. I'm not entirely sure exactly what system they're going to be running, if it's going to be like a similar kind of defense to what the Ravens ran for so long, where, again, it's a lot of man coverage, a lot of blitzes. Them and the Steelers both do that a lot. You've got, all these versatile defensive linemen that can line up as anything from a nose tackle to a 5 technique. Like, they move guys around all over the place in Baltimore. If they are planning on doing something similar to that, I think that a really good pick for them, with he's an underrated player for one, that would be a great value, is Levi Onwuzurike from Washington. Highly underrated player in my tier 1 of defensive tackles. I think he's got a higher ceiling than Christian Barmore. When you look at the Utah game and you look at the Oregon game, his ability to, and also the USC game too from 2019, his ability to penetrate as a 3 technique, while also being able to take on double teams as a nose. You can stack and shed as a 5 technique. I think that versatility and his upside and what you can bring to that Jacksonville defense, that I think, man, you guys really wanted JOK. Be patient. Be patient. Trust me. Yeah, don't be surprised on Thursday when, as Noah's saying, when Levi goes a lot higher than you think. He's a very good defensive tackle. I think he fits what I think their defense is going to be like a glove, in terms of having all of these, defensive linemen that can flex anywhere between nose and 5. He can rush the passer. He plays the run well. I think he would immediately be arguably their best interior defensive lineman. Like, year 1, I think he could be that good for them. And I love Owusu-Koramoah too. He's my top-rated linebacker. You guys know this. But when I look at this defensive tackle class compared to the linebacker class, I've only taken one linebacker so far for a reason. This is a very good linebacker class with a lot of dudes that are going to go in day 2. Like, you look at round 2 linebackers, you are going to be shocked at how many go. Like, it's going to be Jamin Davis. It's going to be Pete Werner. Might be, honestly, we might not even get a single linebacker in round 1, and they all go day 2, just because it's such a strong position group that everybody knows they can get one on day 2. So I think JOK is worthy of a first-round pick. He's one of the 32 best players in this class. But I don't know where he's going to go, because a lot of teams are looking at this linebacker class and saying there's a lot of dudes that we can get on day 2, and they might want to go different directions with their round 1 pick. So Levi Onwuzurike is one of those cases where there's not a lot of great defensive tackles that can play this kind of role of going from a nose to a 5 effortlessly. There's a few, but not a lot. And Levi's the best of them easily. I think he's also one of the 32 best players in this class. He fits their defense, at least what I think their defense is going to be. And yeah, I really like Levi, and I think he's going to be a very solid pro. So I will add him to the ticker as well as we move on to pick 26. Judging by your reactions to each of the last 10 picks, you guys might like that one. So pick 26 here. And this, finally, at long last, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah from Notre Dame going to the Cleveland Browns. I know they have a lot of young linebackers that have some upside, but none of them are as good as Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. And I'm starting to run out of players that I can justify taking ahead of him. I'm at some point, the value just gets to the point where it's like, I gotta pull the trigger. He's better than everybody else on our team. And so Levi was kind of the last stop for that train of like, okay, I can justify Levi. I can't justify anybody else. Like Jeremiah is we finally reached that threshold of value where it's malpractice to leave him on the board. He would be immediately their best linebacker. And by God, do they need linebackers that can cover? They need them so bad. Like they got some dudes that can play the run, but they got absolute jack shit for coverage linebackers. Like theoretically, they're athletic there. Like they should be able to cover. They don't have the awareness. Like forget about putting them in man. Like they don't have the feet for it. So they need dudes that can not just play the run, but can also cover. And JOK can cover. That's like the main value here is that dude can cover. So I really like him as a fit to the Browns. Whether you want to put him at Mike, you want to put him at OLB, I don't really care. He can do whatever. Like people say, oh, you can't put him at Mike. It's like, well, Deion Jones plays Mike and he's the same size. So again, it's not really that big of a deal to me where he plays. I think Cleveland could figure out where to use him. And you look at that secondary because some people see him as like basically a safety linebacker hybrid. You got John Johnson, you got Grant Delpit coming back. They don't really have any weaknesses now at this point. Like defensive line depth, sure, but in terms of the starting 11 on defense, you slide Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah in there. Whew, that's deadly. That is a deadly defense, and the offense is already cooking with gas as it is. So I think Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is one of those guys where you put him onto a Super Bowl ready roster, and he's kind of one of the last things they need. He's one of the only things they need, and I like their chances. I'm a big fan of what the Browns have built. They've done a phenomenal job. They really have. Like you want to know how to build a football team, look at what they've done the last 3 years because they've just crushed it. So let me start up a new ticker for 26 through 30. Bye. We will get to pick number 27 here. And so Baltimore, this is the first Baltimore pick. And you might notice that somebody's still on the board. Free cookie to whoever can guess who it is by the time I say it. But they have a lot of needs. You look at offensive line depth in the wake of the Orlando Brown trade. I think edge is a need for them. Pretty much everything but tight end, I guess you could say, is a need for them. They got a million tight ends. But I think one of the most glaring needs that I really have to solve is wide receiver. So I'm going to take one of the last guys that I think is really worth a pick this high. And I'm going to go Rashad Bateman. Chat, you lit it up before I got there, so congrats to you guys. Rashad Bateman from Minnesota. Again, they need a guy like Bateman, who I kind of compared to like a Robert Woods. Not overly fast, not overly big, but in terms of smoothness, like as a route runner, like you can tell he is very well trained. Very well trained. His releases are just buttery smooth, great hands. And I find it kind of funny how, it's like, oh, he was listed at 6'2" in high school and then, 6'1", and all of a sudden he's 6 foot 190. When you watch him on tape, everybody believed he was 6'2". Like nobody ever looked at him and said, I don't know. He kind of looks like 5'11", 6 foot. Like everybody believed he was 6'2" because he played like he's 6'2". He plays so much bigger than his frame. His jump ball ability is fantastic, especially for a guy who's 6 foot. I mean, he gets up there. His deep speed, very deceptive because again, he's such a smooth strider. He's moving a lot faster than you think he is. His hips are phenomenal. I think skill set wise, um, again, this is going to sound sacrilegious because I love Tyler, or not Tyler Boyd. Well, he does kind of compare to Tyler Boyd, but Robert Woods I think is like one of the best comps out there, and I'm a massive Robert Woods fan. So if you're getting a guy who can at least be 80% of Robert Woods, this is well worth the 27th pick. I think he can come in and be their number one receiver, if not immediately, pretty damn soon. And just giving some help to Lamar Jackson on the outside. I mean, my God, at some point they're going to have to not have Mark Andrews as their top passing threat, and I think Rashad Bateman can be that guy. Like he can be a true number one for them, so that Mark Andrews is no longer their de facto number one. And if you can give the Ravens even just a semblance of a passing offense, I mean, good luck stopping them, because that was really their one weakness, is they just didn't have any dudes that can win outside. So pick number 28 here as I get Baltimore into the ticker. The Saints pick was hard. Saints pick was really hard because I wanted Bateman for the Saints, and they really need a receiver. Like they had to let Emmanuel Sanders go because cap reasons. Because I mean, they were 100 million over the cap at the start of the offseason, so they had to make some cuts. So Emmanuel Sanders is gone. Right now, their receiver depth chart, I'll just read it off to you. So obviously you got Michael Thomas as the number one, but after him you got Traquan Smith, Marquez Callaway, Deontay Harris, who's kind of a slot gadget guy, and then I mean, Lil Jordan Humphrey, I guess, Juwan Johnson, maybe. Like they got nobody. So I really wanted receiver, but after Bateman was gone, I didn't have like I was thinking like, do I want to do like Amir Smith Marset? But that's still a little like, even for me who loves him, that was still a little early. I was like, Trayvon Grimes, but again, still a little bit early. I kind of tapped out on receiver, and I'm not a big like I like Kadarius Toney, but I wasn't going to take him at 28. I wasn't going to take Rondale at 28. Like I kind of dried up the well of first round receivers for me, so I had to look elsewhere. And so I was kind of looking around the roster, and you know what? Let me show this to you guys, just so that you can kind of get into my thought process here. So when I was looking at the roster, I was like, all right, what do they really need? Marcus Davenport, we're still trying to see what he can be at edge rusher. Like, it's like, do I want to go Joe Tryon? Maybe, Peyton Turner, maybe, but I still want to give another year to Marcus Davenport. So the overall defensive line isn't terrible, I would say. Like, they lost some dudes, but it's not terrible. Linebacker, I still think is fine. I was a big fan of their Zach Bond pick. I think he's a fantastic player. Demario Davis is still great. Corner, I was also considering, but we're starting to, at least in terms of the guys that I thought really fit what they do on defense, I felt like Caleb Farley was like, their break glass in case of emergency pick, but he's already gone. So I was like, you know what? They could really use a safety to replace Malcolm Jenkins. Like, Marcus Williams is going to be a great free safety, but they could really use a versatile safety like what Malcolm Jenkins used to be. Because in Malcolm Jenkins' prime, he was a guy where you can play him down in the box. He's good against the run. He could play man coverage on tight ends. You could rotate him to the deep post, and he had range. So I was like, let me take a guy who I think compares very favorably to what Malcolm Jenkins used to be, and that's Trayvon Merrick from TCU. Like, I think he could come in and immediately take Jenkins' job. Where did I put? There it is. I think he could come in and immediately take Jenkins' job, just because as smart as Jenkins is, he just can't move anymore. Not like he used to. Whereas Trayvon Merrick, legit 4.4 speed, handles his business in man coverage better than a lot of corners in this class. He's got run stopping ability in the box. He didn't have to do it as much as Ardarius Washington because of how their defense is structured. Like, Ardarius was really the guy that was kind of more involved in run fits because he played boundary side safety, whereas field side safety, which was Merrick's job, that's more coverage oriented. Like, you're more likely to be matched up on receivers deep down the field. So Ardarius Washington handled a lot of run fit duty, but when they ran the ball his way, again, very good tackler. very physical in the box when he was needed to be in the run fit. But just the fact that he can cover as well as a corner at his size, very smart player. Again, I think he is, in the absence of a healthy Andre Cisco, who kind of projects more as a true free safety anyway, which they already have one in Marcus Williams. But in the absence of Andre Cisco, Trayvon Merrick, I think, is the best safety in this class. Certainly the most versatile safety in this class. I think he's going to be a great pro for a very long time. And since there's no receivers to take and the defensive line, I felt, even though you could argue for it, I wasn't quite ready to pull the trigger on that. Trayvon Merrick, I think, was the best player available at a position of need. And while maybe not everybody's talking about safety for the Saints, it's more likely than you think, because again, they got Marcus Williams and not a whole lot else, in my opinion. So again, I'm just trying to get me the best players I can, and we'll go from there. Now, pick 29. I'm going to throw this in the ticker. Pick 29 is Green Bay, and boy, are they pissed. Boy, are they pissed at the receiver run that has happened in the first round, because they got nothing left. I think Green Bay's been, really holding out hope for Elijah Moore for months now. And I think it's become more and more apparent that Elijah Moore will not be there. And so you have to ask yourself, do you pull the trigger on Rondale? Do you pull the trigger on Kadarius Toney, Ihmir Smith-Marsette? After the first 6 guys are gone, what are you really willing to reach for? And so I think they're in a very similar situation to the Saints, where it's like, at this point, they're all gone. If you can trade back, you trade back. But since I'm not doing trades in this mock, I don't have that option. So I have to just go best football player available. Like, just get me a good player so that at worst, I'm not wasting the pick. Like, just get me a good player. And so I'm going to go Landon Dickerson from Alabama. And before Packers fans freak out, I'm doing this for Aaron. If I can't get him a weapon, because Lord knows I'm not going to take, Pat Freiermuth and get him another tight end. If I can't get him a weapon, I will at least do my best to improve the offense in any other way I can. And so I'm going to be taking Landon Dickerson, who, along with Elton Jenkins, who I know that they're moving to center. Now they don't necessarily have to. Like, they let Corey Linsley go because I think their plan was putting Elton at center, and then, we'll take a guard, day 2 or something like that. But with the board and how it shook out, since I can't get a receiver, at least not without being a gross reach, now I can take a guy that can also play center, and I can keep Elton at guard. Or, Landon can play guard as well. He played guard during his time in college. He played tackle at college. Like, both of them have positional flexibility where I think you figure it out in camp, where it's like, which spot are each one of them best at, and you go from there. You get your best 5 on the field. But I wasn't big on the value at receiver here, so I just went with who's the highest player on my board. And Landon Dickerson, he doesn't get enough credit in terms of players who I think are going to be as good at their position as Landon Dickerson is as an interior lineman. The list is like 5 names long. Like, he is as good of an interior offensive lineman as Devontae Smith is a receiver. That's how good Landon Dickerson is. The only reason he's falling this far is because he's coming off an ACL. And you can say, okay, well, he, ended 4 of his last 5 seasons, with season-ending injuries. But if you look into the injuries, like, he went a long period of time. He went all of 2019 and everything but except the last game in 2020 without getting hurt. So this is really his only injury in the last 2 years. And I looked at the video of it. It was kind of a freak thing. Like, as a defensive tackle, it was almost kind of similar to the Jalen Smith injury. When you look at it, it was kind of a freak thing where it's like, he's getting tossed after the play and he stuck his leg out to brace and kind of get back under control, because it was like through the whistle, and his leg just bent weird on him when his spikes caught in the turf as he stuck his leg out there when he's getting, kind of swung around the defensive lineman. It was a freak thing, completely freak injury. And then the 2 previous injuries before that, it was a nagging ankle injury at Florida State, which caused him to his injury from 2017, I think it was, was nagging him into 2018. He got 2 games into that before he shut it down. So again, it was a bad ankle injury that nagged into the following year. He took a medical red shirt because he just wasn't ready to play, and then he entered the transfer portal. And I'll tell you what, Alabama is not the kind of school that is willing to take a senior, like a fourth year transfer, because they normally like younger guys. They want time in the system to develop. They don't take guys that have been in college for 4 years as a transfer that played 9 games total the previous 2 seasons unless they are absolutely confident that they are a superstar. They don't do that. They don't have enough scholarship positions to take transfers like that unless they know they are legitimately great talents. So Landon Dickerson, like Bama lined up to get him because they knew what kind of player he was, even with the injuries, even the fact that he was, going into his 4th year in college. They're like, we want that dude. We're going to use a scholarship spot on that guy, even though we're fucking Alabama. We can recruit any center in the nation we want to, and we want that guy because they knew how good he was. Landon Dickerson is incredible. Monstrous power, great quickness for his size. Like Tyler Shelvin's 365 couldn't move him backwards at all. He is revolutionary. Like, I wish I could put into words how good Landon Dickerson is. And I know Packers, I'm trying to sell Packers fans on this pick because I know they're going to be pissed. Wait till he gets on the field with Elton Jenkins. And you see the destruction that those two can cause next to each other. Aaron Jones is going to run for 2,000 yards. I'm telling you right now. Aaron's not even going to be touched back there in the pocket. Like the pass protection between Bakhtiari, Elton Jenkins, Landon Dickerson next to each other. Are you fucking kidding me? That's incredible. Like he's a great player. The fact that he's available at 29, the only reason is because he's coming off an ACL. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes higher than this because teams know how good he is. I'm going to move on because I don't want to like fillet him too much, but Landon Dickerson's my dude. He's amazing. Now pick number 30. This is one that might piss off Packers fans even more because they've been targeting him for a long time. And I'm going to add Landon to the ticker here. Can you hear my voice going, by the way? Because I've been talking for 2 hours straight. Oh, God. Maybe I do need G Fuel or cocaine. I don't know. How do you do this for such a long period of time? So pick number 30 here with the Buffalo Bills. And I think this is somebody who I considered with the Packers, but in the end, Landon was just too good to pass up. But Ifeatu Melifonwu for Buffalo, I think is a perfect scheme fit. When you look at the Bills roster, one of the only things they need is right corner because, Trey White's holding down the left corner spot. One of the only weaknesses they really had on that defense was Levi Wallace at the other side. I think he's a perfect fit for what they like, which is an off corner. He's an off cover corner. So, he'll line up in 7x1, 7 yards off, inside leverage, and just drive on slants all day long. Levi Wallace cannot handle inside breaks to save his life. He just can't. And so, like, if you're lining up a 3x1 and Levi Wallace, because they play predominantly zone there, he's going to be lining up on the ISO receiver. And you saw it over and over again. Slant, slant, slant. Couldn't handle him. I'm bringing in Ifeatu Melifonwu because he can actually stop that fucking route. He can stop the abuse of Levi Wallace losing on slants over and over and over again. And not to mention the fact that I think he has the potential to be a good press corner. Like he's more comfortable and off, but I think he has the potential to be a good press corner down the line with his length and physicality. Plays the run really well. He's already comfortable in the area. Like, he went to Syracuse, it's like a 2-hour drive away. So I think he's a really good fit. All the Bills film guys like Eric Turner that I talk to are drooling over this dude because they know how good of a fit he is in that defense. He addresses one of the only needs they really have, which is outside corner. I know a lot of people really, chat's kind of wondering where's Micah Parsons going. Again, I'm about scheme fit in the first round. I understand he's wildly talented, but the only real places that I think would use him how he should be used are New England and Miami. And I took, a quarterback for New England, and I took Zaven Collins for Miami because I think Zaven Collins can do that role, but better. So there's not a whole lot of teams that I think will use a linebacker like Micah Parsons how he should be used. And of the ones that are there, I think they would take other players first. So again, it's not that I don't like Micah Parsons. Um, I just think he's a different kind of player than what people think he is. People look at him and see Roquan Smith, or like they'll see um, Patrick Willis, and it's like they're not the same. That again, he's physically talented like them, but in terms of play style, skill set, everything like that, he's not those guys. He's just not. I don't hate my I don't hate Micah Parsons. I really don't. I had him. I had him like high up in my tier 2 of linebackers. Like I don't hate Micah Parsons at all. I had him in the same tier as Zaven Collins, Jamin Davis. Um, he's just a different kind of skill set, and some teams won't value his skill set like others. So you gotta be aware of what he is, the style he plays in. I'll leave it at that. Again, he's a good player, but he's still learning, and he's not all the way there yet. But Ifeatu Melifonwu, great scheme fit for Buffalo. He's in my tier 1 of corners as well. I think he's my last tier 1 corner off the board now. So absolutely worth it. I couldn't imagine a better fit to replace Levi Wallace. And you talk to any Bills film guy, and they would agree with that. Now, pick 31, which is the Ravens. Let me add Ifeatu to the ticker here. This is in the wake of the Orlando Brown trade, which they got pick 31 from Kansas City. Oh, man, that barely fit. One character shy of the limit. So this is pick number 31 that they got from the Orlando Brown trade. And this one might set off a few alarm bells with Ravens fans, but I already got you the receiver. I already filled the biggest need. So at this point, I'm just picking best player available. And best player available to me at a position of need is Joe Tryon, edge rusher from Washington. Again, I'm going to look at the chat. I'm going to watch him. I'm going to watch all you guys say, what the fuck are you doing, Brett? Because I immediately know that's what you're going to be saying. Where's Kwity Paye? Where's Jason Owe? Where's Azeez Ojulari? Joe Tryon's better. Yeah, there's the question marks. I knew you guys were going to be. Joe Tryon's better. He just is. When you look at my defensive position rankings again, go watch that. Like in terms of combining length, power, fluidity, ability to play the run, he is the closest edge rusher to me to Jalen Phillips in this class. He's got a lot more versatile skill set than Azeez Ojulari. Like if I want a dude who can come in and just do a lot of, cross chop moves and, beat tackles that don't have good feet, like Azeez all day. Azeez is a good player. He's a one pitch pitcher. He's Mariano Rivera, where it's like, I got my one pitch that I know you're not going to hit, but eventually, maybe Rivera is not a good comparison because he's like literally one of the greatest pitchers of all time. But God, if you can think of like a pitcher where it's like, oh, K-Rod, where it's like, I got the slider, early 2000s K-Rod, I got the slider, and it was nasty. It was like nobody could hit it. 2002 K-Rod, nobody's hitting him. But then eventually his arm started to die a little bit. People started to, once people saw it the first time, then he started to get, Aroldis Chapman's another one. Although Aroldis, how many people can hit 104, eventually people started to hit him because they figured out like, man, he doesn't have anything other than the slider. Azeez, you watch the Stone Forsyth game where all of a sudden the cross chops weren't working. And he doesn't have the length. He doesn't have the power to kind of compensate for when that one move doesn't work. Joe Tryon has length and power to compensate. Like he can hit a cross chop. He can dip around the edge. He can also work, a long arm move and get back inside. He can just straight up bull rush you. He can crush the pocket and flush a quarterback just the old fashioned way. He doesn't have to just be fancy with cross chop moves. And so he's a lot more versatile rusher. He plays the run really well. I know people look at production and they're like, well, Azeez leading the SEC in sacks. Like, where's Joe Tryon's production? Played the 3-man front. Like, you have him playing like 4-eye in a 3-man front. Like, of course he's going to get doubled all the time and not get a whole lot of pressures. They're rushing 3 a lot. Like eventually they go into even fronts for on like 3rd and 9, but again, he didn't have the same opportunity to rush the passer like some of the other guys in this class. And I take that into account. So again, I don't hate Azeez Ojulari. He's also in my tier 2 of pass rushers, but it's not the same kind of player as Joe Tryon. I think a good comparison for him would be Daniil Hunter, who was a similar athlete coming out of LSU, who was, looked at as, oh, well, he didn't have a whole lot of production. Well, it's like, yeah, because he was also playing 4I in that system at LSU. He was damn near an interior lineman for them on a lot of snaps. So, of course, he's taking up double teams. And then he gets to the NFL where, Zimmer's got him as a wide 9, and all of a sudden you see his length and athleticism translate as a pass rusher, and it's like, well, fuck, where'd this come from? It's like, well, he's used differently. So Joe Tryon, I think, is a highly, highly underrated player. I think he's going to go in the first round. We'll see, but I think he will go in the first round because when you look at his athletic profile, you look at his role at Washington, I think he is so undervalued. So undervalued. He's a really good player. And again, I don't hate Azeez, but he is 2002 K Rod right now. He's got the slider. I don't think he has anything else. Good player, good outside linebacker, plays the run well. I don't have him on my first round. I'll just say that. Now, final pick of the first round. I'll get Joe Tryon into the ticker here. Thank you all for sticking with me. We've still got 2,700 people watching this. Can you believe that shit? Can you believe we got 2,700 people watching 2 hours and 15 minutes of a mock draft? You guys are nuts, but I love you. Absolutely nuts. Oh no, we're doubled. There we go. And I can already tell people are going to go back to this stream in 2 years and be like, I can't believe he fucked this up. Oh, trust me, some of these picks I fucked up. I already know that I totally whiffed on some of these. I don't know which ones yet, but some of these are going to look real bad in 2 years. Some of them are going to look great. Some of them are going to look real bad. Maybe 32 is one of those picks. We'll see. But right now with the Buccaneers, when I look at their roster, they don't need a whole lot. This is a team that could very easily repeat. On offense, they're loaded. I love what they have in the secondary. I wouldn't change a thing. Linebackers loaded. Again, they can afford to just take best player available and go on another run here. And for me, best player available is Peyton Turner, the edge rusher out of Houston. I know Shaq Barrett signed. He's going to be there for another 4 years, but you're kind of only as good as your worst rusher. And so I think having all of these guys being able to rotate in and out, keep everybody fresh, kind of like, what the Eagles did a few years ago where you had 8 guys, rotating in like hockey shifts. Peyton Turner, I think, is a guy that you can put on the field. He'll keep Shaq fresh. He'll keep JPP fresh. And I don't think you're going to see that big of a drop off, if at all, when Peyton Turner's on the field, because you look at his length, his power, his fluidity. He is a special, special athlete. And I think he's more ready to play day one and, kind of capitalize on this championship window than Kwity Paye, than Jason Owe, than Azeez Ojulari, all these other tier 2 pass rushers to me. I think Peyton Turner is more ready to play. He's got a ton of clubs in the bag, to use other sports analogies, a bunch of other pitches he can rely on. He doesn't just have to use power. He's got a really good dip rate for a guy that's like 6'5", 280. Like, it's absurd how low he can get. Like, his bend is crazy. He's got a really nice counter swim inside. And of course, with 35-inch arms and loads of power, he could just go through people as well. So I'm really big on pass rushers that can win in multiple ways. That's why I have Jalen Phillips, Joe Tryon, and Peyton Turner as my top 3 edge rushers, because they can all win in multiple ways. They're not just like a one-move pass rusher. And so I think he compares favorably to Cam Jordan. Like, when I look at skill set and build and everything like that. Rousseau. Yeah, Rousseau too, I think, is another guy where it's like he's kind of limited in role. He's more of like an interior guy. I don't necessarily think he would have success on the edge like Peyton Turner would. But I look at Turner and, he can rush from a 2-point stance, a 3-point stance, a 4-point stance. Like, you could do whatever you want with him. And I don't think that there would be a huge drop-off when JPP's out of the game or when Shaq Barrett's out of the game. And the fact that you can put him on the field and not have a huge drop off means that you can rotate these guys a lot more, keep them fresh, and overall that will improve your efficiency with all three of them. So I think he's a phenomenal player. Do a rapid fire round two. I don't have a round two written, to be honest. I don't even know what I would do in round two, but there's a lot of good players available. I mean, Micah Parsons is right there. I wouldn't be like upset if Jacksonville got Micah Parsons at 33. At least I think they're picking 33. Who else is available? Let me just pull up my best available players based on my rankings in round two. Based on this mock, would be, let me throw Peyton Turner back up there. So Pat Freiermuth is there, who I really, really like. He's a great tight end. I think Pat Freiermuth kind of compares a lot to like Zach Ertz. Like he's really, really good, except he can block better than Zach Ertz. He was one of the best blocking tight ends in all of college football with a torn labrum. Like Pat Freiermuth is awesome. Round two off the dome. Okay. Just for you guys, because I love you. And you were so patient and so supportive of doing a new format like on the fly. So I'm gonna see what I can do here for you guys. We do NFL draft order. I don't even know what the order is. We'll just kind of wing this shit. How about that? Just for you, because I love you and you guys support me, and so I want to give you good content. That's my only goal here, is just give you something to do on a Tuesday night. Yeah. Oh, not 2020, 2021. All right. So round two, Jacksonville. Oh man. Yeah, I mean, I would Micah Parsons I think would be a decent value, but hold on, let's go on a depth chart trip, shall we? All right, so oh man, I kind of like Pat Freiermuth there. I think he's better than all their tight ends, so I'll go Pat Freiermuth there, and then Jets. I mean, God, they could take whoever, because they took Caleb Farley and Justin Fields. So let's look at their depth chart. Oh man, good receivers. I think right tackle maybe, because George Fant is fine, but tight end. Nah, it's still a little bit early for Zach Davidson. So I'm going through my rankings on my phone. This is super jank. I mean, mock draft's over, but I'm doing it for whoever just wants to stick around for a round two. Man, you know what? I kind of like getting them another edge as well. Let's go Kwity Paye for them, just because he's a super high upside guy that I think plays the run really well, which I think Robert Saleh would value. Playing next to Quinnen and Franklin Myers and all them. Let's go Kwity Paye, edge for them. Just kind of best player available. Falcons, ooh. Man, this is tough. Well, let's see. We took a quarterback in round one, so we could probably use another weapon, assuming that they're going to be getting rid of Julio. So if I'm looking at my receiver rankings, man, I'm not really super into what's there. I mean, I wouldn't hate running back here either, because their starting running back right now is Mike Davis. Let's go with Javonte Williams from North Carolina. I think that's a decent value pick, right? Let's see here. And then we got Miami. Oh, man, they can just go in a million different directions. Okay. Who did we take for Miami? We took Kyle Pitts and Zaven Collins. Fuck, that's a good first round for them. They don't need a whole lot. Now might be where I go Najee at running back and start having the running backs fly off the board. Yeah, let's go Najee Harris there. Philly could really use a receiver. Is it a little early for Grimes? Because I really want a boundary guy for them, but oh wait, that's the Jets. Where's Philly? Man, this is tough because a lot of like the best receivers on the board are all little guys. Oh man, edge could probably use some help. So if I look at my edge rushers, best one that I have available. Ooh, you know what? I got Jamin Davis here too. Yeah, let's go Jamin Davis. We need a linebacker that can cover. So Jamin Davis for the Eagles. Bengals, which I already took. Who did I take? Ja'Marr Chase. So I need tackle or guard, really just whoever's best interior guy left. So let's see. I know this is riveting content for you guys. Oh man. Okay, so my best interior left is Creed Humphrey. It would be a pretty good value here, to be honest. My best tackle left is Brady Christensen. And there's also Liam Eichenberg. Wait, I like Eichenberg. You know what? Let's go with Brady Christensen because he fits that wide zone scheme. He's really good in wide zone. So I'll go Brady Christensen there. So my top two picks for them are Ja'Marr Chase and Brady Christensen. It's pretty fucking good. It's pretty fucking good as like a package deal. So let's see, who is it? Carolina Panthers. Who did I take for them? Penny? I took Penny. So for them, what's a problem area for them? God, they got a lot of young defensive players I really like. I didn't take Parsons yet, right? I took Freiermuth. I think I took Freiermuth. Yeah, I don't think I took Parsons yet. Let's go Parsons here. Because everything that Hassan Reddick can do, Parsons can do, but better. Let's do that. That would be fun. Pair him up with his buddy, Yetur Gross-Matos. See what kind of hijinks they can get into again. I don't know. Maybe that would be bad. Maybe them being on the same team would be bad. I don't know. Oh, well. I'm not a psychiatrist. Let's see. Denver at 40. What does Denver need? Because I took Rashawn Slater for them in the first round. Yikes. There's like 4 people that said yikes immediately. Man, what do you want from me? It's round 2. I'm drinking. Oh, man. Again, thank you, Jeff Tully, for this. All right. What does Denver need? Offensive line is fucking set. Weapons set. Quarterback. Ooh, you know what? Kellen Mond. Let's go Kellen Mond here. Because if Drew Lock sucks, we can throw Kellen Mond in and just see if he doesn't suck. At this point, I mean, the roster's pretty much done. Like, they don't need a whole lot. So again, if Lock fails with all that, he's never going to succeed. So you might as well have something. You know, Kellen Mond, I think, is really talented, super inconsistent, but he's got a lot of talent. And again, I'm throwing second round quarterbacks in here till one hits because the roster's ready to go. Mond sucks, but maybe he doesn't. Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on him too. He doesn't suck though. Honestly, I think Mond's a better prospect than Lock was coming out. Like he's inconsistent, but not like Drew Lock inconsistent. So I think he could at least have potentially more success than Drew Lock would with that roster because it's just such a good team. And if Locke fails with that, he's never going to succeed. So you might as well have somebody there with talent that might have a shot to surprise us. Again, that's just a dart throw pick, but second round, who cares? Detroit Lions at 41. And I took Devonta Smith, right? Yeah, I took Devonta Smith. I might double dip at receiver, though, to be honest. Because, I mean, well, maybe not. I mean, I don't hate Tyrell Williams. I don't hate Perriman. Cephas is still young. Maybe I'll get something else. Offensive line's still good. This is tough. Defensive line could use some work. I do. Well, at least at 3 tech. I like Aquara. Linebacker, I mean, eventually one of those guys going to hit, right? Corner's something I would look at here. Man, do I want to go Asante Samuel? I wouldn't hate Asante Samuel because they got 2 boundary guys in Oruwariye and Okuda, but I kind of want to replace Corn Elder at nickel. And I feel like Asante Samuel can play outside or in nickel, and he would be totally fine. Yeah, let's go Asante Samuel there. I think he'd be a good fit. Giants at 42. You can tell this is completely off the dome because I literally can't find the fucking Giants depth chart. Oh, it's up here. God, I'm an idiot. All right. So receivers, good. Offensive line, we'll see. I mean, they invested, so I'm gonna give the kids time to develop. Defensive line, I mean, we took Jalen Phillips, so we're good there. Linebacker isn't the worst. Second, man, this roster is actually like low key kind of good now. Low key kind of good. Fuck, they don't have a whole lot of weaknesses, guys. Like at all. All right. This one's going to blow your mind. We are going to go with a tight end out of the University of Central Missouri named Zach Davidson, who is an absolute freak of nature. You look at his relative athletic score, it's off the freaking charts. It's like 6'5", 260, runs like a deer, great ball skills, unreal quickness for his size. Yeah. Yeah, Christian. yeah, chat just finally caught up. Yeah, no, Zach Davidson, I'm a really big fan of him. I think both he and Freiermuth could go, top half of round 2, maybe like late round 2 at the latest. He's my tight end 3 for me. You go on YouTube, just type in Zach Davidson. I'm sure there's going to be like a highlight somewhere that you could watch. But I mean, the guy he's a monster at his size and with his ability, his athletic ability and his ball skills. I think he's got a lot of upside, like a lot of upside. And I think, Ingram, he's only got like 1 year left on his deal. Let me double check here. I had to spell Evan for a second. Yeah, he's only got 1 year left on his deal. So, I mean, they might be in need of a tight end sooner rather than later. Just give us Barmore instead. I mean, I like Barmore. I don't have anything against Barmore, but again, it's not a great tight end class. There's only 3 that I'm really pounding the table for. And it's obviously Pitts, Freiermuth, and now Davidson. So Davidson's gone. And it's funny, I put out a tweet about Davidson. It was like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, something like that. And within 5 minutes of that tweet, I got a text from a buddy who works for a team, and he's just like, shh. He's going to go higher than you think. Zach Davidson, Central Missouri tight end. Look him up. Really good player, highly undervalued. I know a lot of people have like Brevin Jordan as like their tight end 3, Trey McKitty, Tommy Tremble. Nope. Zach Davidson. Zach Davidson all day. Guarantee you. Who's next? Who's next? Is that too old of a meme now? What are we? Niners at 43. God, can you imagine Shanny getting his hands on that guy? Zach Davidson. Okay, so Niners took. Who did I have the Niners take? Trey Lance. So I'm actually surprised they still kept their second round pick while trading up for a quarterback. That's genuinely impressive to me. So receiver's good, offensive line is good. Can somebody in chat explain to me why Mike McGlinchey's not had his option picked up? Like, that's genuinely weird to me, right? Like, that should have happened by now. I don't know. Greg Newsome. That's a good idea, chat. That's a good idea. Let's do that. I'm going to go with your guys' instincts. We'll go with Greg Newsome. Kind of reminds me a lot of Jason Verrett, to be honest, ironically. Yeah, that's a good value there. Phenomenal feet, change of direction skills, ultra competitive. Injury issues, I think, are going to drop him. Oh, it got picked up today. Of course it did. Of course it did. Injury issues are going to drop Newsome, I think. Durability's been a little bit of concern. Same thing with Landon Dickerson. Same things with what's his name? Caleb Farley. But he's a very, very good player. You watch the Purdue game. You watch, what was it? I think Nebraska, where he had like 3 PBUs in that game. Just great hips, great feet. Greg Newsome going to where Gavin Newsom is. Okay, here we go. Dallas Cowboys, who I took. Who did I took J.C. Horn. I might end up double dipping at corner here. So we got, theoretically, we got Jordan Lewis, J.C. Horn, and, oh no, that's right. They took Diggs last year. Not that like I'm a big Diggs guy, but they're not going to draft like 4 corners, in a 2-year period. Safety's an interesting one. Do I dare go Andre Cisco here? Do I dare? Do I dream the dream of Andre Cisco as a top 50 pick? Yeah, I'm going to do that. Andre Cisco. Let's do that. Oh, Barmore's available. Hold on. Yeah, Tristan Hill kind of sucks. Yeah, okay. I reneged that. Barmore. We're going to go Barmore. That's a good idea. Good catch, chat. Good catch. Thank you for that. See, this is what happened when I do a mock off the dome and I forget who's available and who's not. Okay. Jacksonville at 45. Another pick for Jacksonville, really? Wow. Okay. So right now I've taken Trevor Lawrence. I've taken who did I take? Levi Onwuzurike, and I took Pat Freiermuth. That already is a great draft for them. So the last pick I'll do for them, I really like what they got at receiver with Chark, Jones, Shenault. Colin Johnson's, I think, is an underrated, big body guy. Philip Dorsett is like your wide receiver 5. He's probably going to fight for a roster spot, but I'm not going to draft a guy to compete for wide receiver 5 or wide receiver 4 at best at this point. Offensive line, maybe. Not really. I think they're all right there. Tight end, we already addressed. I was tempted by edge, but I feel like Cullen will actually use K'Lavon Chaisson how he's supposed to be used, which is as like an outside linebacker, not as a true defensive end. So I'm not super. Again, we'll have to see how he uses him, but I think Joe Cullen will actually use him properly and not be like, oh, he's a wide 9. It's like, no, he's not. He's a linebacker. I think he would use him correctly. Man. So we got Shaq Griffin and then CJ Henderson at corner, who they just took last year. You know what? I'm going to go Andre Cisco here instead. Since we went Barmore for Dallas, I'm going to go Andre Cisco here. They could definitely use safety, and he's the best one left, in my opinion. You could argue that he's even better than Merrick when he's healthy, but Merrick is right down the fairway. And maybe that's doing him a disservice because I think he's just so solid in so many areas. But Andre Cisco is like a free safety, like a true free safety. Put him in center field, say, go get the ball. He will absolutely do that role. 46 to New England. So we took Mac Jones in the first round. Love it or hate it, he's going to go top 15. Guarantee it. He's too good not to go top 15. Not that he's like amazing, but he's too good not to go top 15, if you know what I mean. So wide receiver is something I'm really considering here. I kind of want Ihmir Smith-Marsette from Iowa because I think he can do a lot of work as a returner and also, work in the slot, work as a deep threat outside. Very, very versatile receiver. Again, he's a guy who I don't know if he'll sneak into round one, but I think there are some teams that might think about it if they're getting desperate. I think the Packers will legitimately think about it at 29 if all the other guys are gone, because Ihmir Smith-Marsette, he gives you like you watch him like on jet sweeps and like it's breathtaking. And as a return man, like I would take him just for special teams alone. Like he's maybe the best kick returner in all of college football. Not to mention that I think he's legitimate deep threat. He's just really, really versatile weapon. He is a versatile weapon. He really is. Not like a Kyle Pitts versatile weapon, but he is a versatile weapon. No, I like Ihmir Smith-Marsette. He's going to go probably in the second round, I think. Maybe I'm like wildly off on him, but just from like special teams and, ability to get carries, ability to be a deep threat, I think he's going to go higher than people think. So next pick here, Chargers at 47. So we're thinking corner here, boys, right? Because we took left tackle in round one. They could still use corner. Who are my tier 2 corners that fit their profile? So my tier 2 of corners, let's see, Paulson Adebo, Kelvin Joseph, Eric Stokes. I'm kind of between Adebo and Joseph. This is tough. I think Joseph has higher upside. Yeah, I'm going to go. I'm going to go Kelvin Joseph here. I think he's got higher upside. It's close between all of those guys, though. It's really close. Also, I know he's got some off the field stuff. I don't know what it is. I never really looked into his off the field stuff because I don't do background checks really, but unless it's like something that's like widely available, like the what do you call it, the Micah Parsons stuff. So I know there was some off the field stuff, but I have no idea what it was. What was it? Raiders at 48. So in the first round with the Raiders, we took Tevin Jenkins. Solid pick as they come. Could also use safety. My eyes are immediately going to these two. These two right here. And I'm thinking I got to replace one of them. Because Jonathan Abram, as physical as he is, dude can't cover. You just can't cover. So I kind of like either Javon Holland or Tyreek Gillespie. I'm going to go Javon Holland here and get a true free safety and maybe potentially just get Abram off the field by moving Karl Joseph to strong. And I have Javon Holland at free. And I kind of like that. I kind of like that a lot. Yeah, Karl Joseph is decent. Like John Abram to me is the problem out of those two. So I'll take Javon Holland and kind of kill two birds with one stone there. Arizona Cardinals at 49. So I took Jalen Waddle in the first round for the Cardinals. So I'm probably thinking corner is where I want to go. So let's go. See, they play more man coverage than pretty much anybody else in the league. So I'm going to go Eric Stokes here. I think he fits what they need. Press corner on the outside, man up, legit 4-3 speed. He got beat up by Alabama a little bit, but everybody does. So I don't really hold that against him too much. But I really like him as a press corner. And again, it's round 2 corners. You're not going to get a JC Horn here. You take what you can get. And I think Eric Stokes is probably the best, like, pure press corner left. Now, Miami Dolphins at 50. God, how many fucking picks do the Dolphins have? My God. I mean, not that, like, good for them, but Jesus, Chris. How many of these are Texans picks? That's what I want to know. Probably a lot of them, right? Let's see. So I took, okay, so I've done, I did Kyle Pitts. I did Zaven Collins. I did, who else did I take for them? Oh, I took, it was one of the running backs. It was either Javonte or Najee. So who do I want to get for them? I've already got him a great receiver in Kyle Pitts. I've already got him a great running back. I got a unique linebacker on defense. They don't need anything. That's the thing with all these picks. Their roster's great. They don't need anything. I mean, I guess right tackle because they're moving Robert Hunt inside. So let's go. Let's see where my tackle rankings. These are the notes that I'm working off of. So Liam Eichenberg's still there. Let's go Liam Eichenberg here. At what pick number is this? Pick 50? Yeah, that sounds about right. Liam Eichenberg. He'll be the new right tackle for them after kicking Robert Hunt inside. I'm totally cool with that. I think he's solid. All right, Washington football team at 51. We took Sam Cosmi in the first round. See what I'm saying, though? Like, by the time we're getting around to the second round for Washington, the best tackle left is Dylan Radins. So it's like Sam Cosmi, they're going to go. They're all going to go like top 50. Ooh, Tony at 51. Or do I want Rondale? Nah, Rondale and Curtis Samuel kind of do the same thing. And I'm not going to go receiver. So I took my left tackle. Man, Creed is still available. They don't really need him, but he's still available. There's a lot of good linebackers that are available too. All right. So my linebacker rankings. Who do I got? So Jeremiah's gone. Jamin Davis is gone. Zaven's gone. Mike is gone. Cameron Grone's coming off injury. So he might fall even later than this. But they really need a guy that can cover. Yeah. They don't really need anybody that can stop the... Man, this is tough. This is really tough. I'm kind of between Pete Werner and Jabril Cox, not going to lie. And like a little bit of Monty Rice. I know I want linebacker, but it's tough to choose between those two. I'm going to go Jabril Cox because I think they can already get pressure with 4. I don't necessarily expect that they're going to be blitzing a lot. Like if this was like a blitz heavy team like the Steelers, Pete Werner all day. He'd replace Vince Williams and you wouldn't see any drop off. The fact that this is not a blitz heavy team because they can rush with 4 so effectively. Wait, Jamin's not available, right? No, I think I took him a long time ago. I think I took him in like early in the round. Yeah, I think I took him into the Eagles like at 37. So I'm going to go Jabril Cox because they really need linebackers that can cover. They don't need linebackers that can rush. So I think it's a solid spot for him. As an OSU fan, I got to say Werner sucks. That is false. That is false, sir. He does not suck. I respect your opinion, but I respectfully, heavily disagree. Really good player. Here we go. So pick 52, Chicago Bears, Bears. So they took Terrace Marshall in round 1. How are there 1,800 people still watching this? You degenerates. Oh, I love you guys. You're awesome. 1,800 people watching me fumble my way through an off the dome second round mock. We really got nothing better to do we? We really don't. So anyway, secondary, man, yeah, they're probably not going to take safety here. They probably won't take offense, period. Kellen Mond's already gone, who's the guy that I know EJ's hoping for in round 2. I don't think he's going to make it all the way to the Bears pick in round 2, though. I think they were too good last year to honestly be in any sweet spot for quarterback this year at all. Man, tight ends are all gone. Well, they just took Kmet last year anyway. Tackle's another thing I could look at here. Yeah, let's look at tackle. See what we can find. Because interior is probably fine, but tackle could probably use some help. Or at least just some developmental guys that we could stash away. Again, if we're just getting like a young core, like a Terrace Marshall, a tackle with upside, have some sort of structure maybe in like a year or 2 to get a quarterback, that's fine with me. Because obviously they're not going to do anything with Dalton. They're going to be treading water. So we might as well just take high upside guys that, might offer a supporting cast for a future quarterback. So let's go Dylan Radins from North Dakota State, a tackle who, honestly, he might actually start over like Elijah Wilkinson. Because, right now they got Elijah Wilkinson and Latavius Simmons competing for right tackle. I think Radins can actually start over them. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, that's a solid pick. Let's go with that. Was good enough to get his brother. Yeah, he was a good tackle. He's probably the best tackle in that whole conference in 2019. His battle with Ellerson Smith, I thought, was highly entertaining because 2 actual NFL guys going against each other, 2 day 2 picks going against each other at that level is a rarity. So that was a good battle watching him and Ellerson go at it. Tennessee at 53. Let's see what we got here. Man, do I dare double dip at receiver? I'm kind of contemplating it. Not going to lie. Because I do have, Elijah Moore, and I guess Josh Reynolds as a number 3 isn't bad. Do I want Jamar Johnson here? Richie Grant? There's a lot of flexibility at this pick because they got, receiver in round 1, maybe corner. I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm going to get inspiration from chat for this one. Corner is a need. Yeah, I agree. Maybe Paulson Adebo. Yeah, let's go Paulson Adebo here. Because like Janoris is a 1-year guy at most for them. Kevin Johnson's a 1-year guy at most for them. Yeah, let's go Paulson Adebo. So Elijah Moore and Paulson Adebo back to back. I could fuck with that for sure. Absolutely. All right, Indianapolis. So we took Stone Forsythe round 1. And you see what I'm talking about? Where we are now at the 2nd round pick for the Colts, who were staring down the barrel of having either Sam Tevi or Julian Davenport be their left tackle. The best And I mean, the best left tackle available right now is Brendan Hymas from Nebraska. Best case scenario. And that's stretching it. Stone Forsythe makes sense. Tackles are going to go. I was even light on tackles. I wouldn't be surprised if Spencer Brown, Brendan Hymas, even fucking Leatherwood go higher than this. So you can't wait till late in round 2. They're not going to be there. Like Walker Little, if you're a Walker Little fan, like again, maybe best case scenario if you're infatuated with the tools. I love the tools too. But man, you watch that Notre Dame game in 2018 where he got beat inside like 10 times. I mean, they beat the shit out of him in that game. And that was the last season we saw him play. You know, he tore his ACL 1 year into 2019 and then, opted out for 2020 because of COVID. We haven't seen him play in 2 years. And the last impression that we got from him was getting his ass kicked by Notre Dame. So again, I love the tools, but that's your best option? Take Stone Forsythe. Take the guy who just beat the brakes off Azeez Ojulari in pass protection. Safer bet. Just saying. Nobody took Spencer Brown yet, by the way. Whoever, Paxman. Nobody took him yet. Great athlete, but more of a developmental guy, in my opinion. Like his upside is enormous. I think you put him with like a good offensive line coach. Maybe don't start him immediately, like start him in 2022. You could have yourself like a really, really, really good player. But again, he's a little bit more risky than I think Stone Forsythe is. Anyway, where were we? So Indianapolis Colts at 54. So let's see what we got here. Man, receivers not bad. Again, offensive line's been fixed. We're good there. Tight end, I think, is all right. We're not taking a quarterback here. We're not taking a running back. Defensive line, low-key, still awesome. Grover Stewart, by the way, is my fucking guy. That dude's a monster. One of the best nose tackles in the league. Super underappreciated, but Grover Stewart's awesome. And obviously DeForest Buckner's great too, but that dude does work. Do we want edge here? I kind of like edge here. Like Kimoko Ture, I think is good. But I just want more dudes. I want more people in the rotation. Because if Ture gets hurt again, there goes your best edge rusher. All right, let me see who I got at edge. I think Jason Owe is still available, right? Yeah, let's go Jason Owe. I don't even have to think about it. Developmental Jason Owe, working with DeForest Buckner, Grover Stewart, learning from Kimoko. Yeah, I fuck with that. Maybe they'll beat the shit out of the Texans and get Jack Easterby fired. That's what I'm doing. I'm picking players in the AFC South that'll get Jack Easterby fired. How about that? 55 to the Steelers. Ooh, do I want Pete Werner? I'm feeling Pete Werner. I'm kind of feeling Pete Werner. Where did it go? Here we go. Because I took, who did I took Tyson Campbell. Yeah, because Vince Williams has 1 year left. He's also like 30. Oh, Creed. That's a good point. Good catch, Dave Matthews. I don't know if you're the real Dave Matthews or not, but that's a good catch. Yeah, let's go Creed Humphrey. Fuck it. Great catch. I almost went Pete Werner there, but Creed's a great value. Get your center for the next 10 years in the second round. How about that? Good call, guys. See, it's like a war room. We all keep each other in check. All right, Seattle Seahawks at 56. This is their first pick of the draft because they traded away number 25 or number 23 to the Jets. So receivers looking good. Offensive line is better than it was. Not gonna lie, better than it was. The Gabe Jackson pickup was clutch. Could also use a center, in my opinion, but Creed's gone. Tight end, Colby Parkinson, low-key. Look out for him. Really good player. Got hurt as a rookie. so he didn't play a lot, but he's a really, really good player for them. At least I think he's going to be a good player. Great size, ball skills, good mover for being 6'7". Very high upside guy. Defensive line. God, I hated this pick in the second round. I fucking hated it. Like I at least I could sort of understand the Jordan Brooks pick, kind of. And he actually ended up being a really good player. Like they were proven correct on that one, but at least I could understand it at the time. Like again, I was like, you can't pass on Patrick Queen, but at least I understood. Like, okay, from a physical skill set, like this is a team that prioritizes athletes. Made sense in that way, kind of. Darrell Taylor, I didn't fucking understand that at all, and I still don't. Like Alden Robinson's just better. So I don't know. Anyway, rant over. Like if Seahawks just start picking it round 4 because they're great after round 4. It's the first 3 that it's like, man. So I'm gonna go. I still like Quinn. I think that's a decent value for Quinn Miners, to be honest. They need a center. Creed's gone. Let's go Quinn Miners. Yeah, let's do that. Immediate upgrade. Make Russ happy. How about that? I'll take that. Yeah, Quinn Miners going at what, 56? That sounds about right. I think he's a top 50 to 60 kind of guy, so that's right in that wheelhouse. Los Angeles Rams at 57. This is also their first pick, right? If I remember correctly. They've lost a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. So they lost their nickel. They lost their best safety. Offensive line. I mean, God, left tackle's eventually going to have to be addressed, right? Andrew Whitworth is 38. But there's not really any tackles I want here. Safety. It's kind of between Tyree Gillespie and Richie Grant. Ooh, that's tough. That's so tough because Tyree's really good. Richie's really good as well. EJ would take Richie Grant all day. I would lean more Tyree Gillespie, but they're damn near equivalent prospects. You could flip a coin. All right, I don't know if EJ's watching or not, but I'm going to channel him as my spirit animal and go Richie Grant here. I'll make him happy because I think he's a very versatile safety. You can put him in center field. He plays the run with aggression. You can play him in the slot. Like he can cover in the slot. Like Tyree, I think is a little bit rangier, like as a free safety, but like Richie's feet and hips in man coverage are also really. Oh man, fuck it. Flip a coin between Tyree and Richie. I'll just go Richie to make EJ happy. They're both really good though. Not gonna lie. Either one could go there. Kansas City at 58. Let's see here. Oh, that's the Bucks. Where's Kansas City? There it is. So they got Orlando Brown, Tooney, Blythe. Man, that's a decent looking offensive line. Could still use. I mean, maybe they want Lucas Niang to be their starting right tackle over Remmers, but there's enough there that I'm not looking to draft it. I'll just say that. Wide receiver, low key in need. I'm gonna go Trayvon Grimes from Florida because I think he can beat out Mecole. Much better route runner than he's given credit for. Tony, I know a lot of people are linking Tony and Rondale to them, but it's more of the same. Like they already have dudes that do that. Like if you want a dude that runs a whip route in the slot and then gets open for yak, like it's Mecole and Tyree. Like they need a big body on the outside that can sky up, go win jump balls in the red zone. Like Trayvon Grimes is one of the only receivers that beat Patrick Surtain on a jump ball down the boundary, beat Tyson Campbell on a jump ball down the boundary. You show up to the Senior Bowl, shows off that he can really run a fucking route. Like he knows what he's doing as a route runner. It's just in the offense, they didn't really have him run a full route tree, but he can really run routes. He understands the subtlety of it. Like watch his Senior Bowl reps. He knows what he's doing, and he's out there beating, Aaron Robinson and Richie Grant and man covered. And Aaron Robinson's a nickel that's going to go probably in, round 2. Trayvon Grimes is a really good receiver. I've got him in my tier, tier 3, tier 4 of receivers as like a solid day 2 pick. I think he fits the specific type of receiver that KC needs. Because again, it's not just about grade, it's about role. They already have people that fill the role that Kadarius does. They already have people that fill the role of Rondale. They don't have anybody like Trayvon Grimes, and they desperately need one. So let's go with that. Cleveland Browns at 59. We are fast approaching the end of round 2, boys. Yeah. Okay. Cleveland Browns 59. So, man, what do you get for the team that has everything? It's like buying a Christmas present for a rich dude. No, Barmore's off the board. I put him in Dallas to replace Tristan Hill. Do I want Bobby Brown? I wouldn't hate Bobby Brown here. Well, they already got Billings. Man, I just love Bobby Brown, though. I already took JOK. Their safety's set. I mean, good God. Look at Denzel Ward, John Johnson, Grant Delpit, Greedy. I mean, if your worst player in the secondary is Greedy Williams, you're doing okay. JOK solidifies linebacker. Do I want Milton Williams maybe as like a developmental interior rusher? That's tempting. Shit. Deep threat maybe? Dyami Brown? Man. But yeah. Yeah, I feel like that the meme of the girl who tried the things like, well, yeah, fuck it. I think you guys are right. I think Dyami Brown would be fun there because Odell and Jarvis, this is probably the last year of at least both of them being there. I don't know if they're going to get rid of both of them, but this team's going to get expensive pretty fucking quick. So getting a young receiver with a lot of talent that can develop behind those guys, I think that's a very prudent move. So yeah, I don't hate Dyami Brown there. And not to mention, like, if they start taking injuries at the position like they did last year, like Dyami's a guy that can come off the bench and be productive for you. So I dig that. Good call, guys. See, teamwork makes the dream work. New Orleans Saints. Okay. Got to go receiver here, right? That's what I'm thinking initially because we went safety in round 1 because the value at receiver wasn't there. So I'm thinking Kadarius or I'm thinking Rondale, right? How fucking fun would that be, by the way, with Taysom Hill running option with Alvin Kamara and Rondale on the jet sweeps? That just sounds fun. Let's just do that. That just sounds entertaining. Yeah, let's do Rondale Moore. Just for entertainment value. Fuck it. Oh God, that would be so fun. Like Taysom's not a good thrower, but just for the option. Just for the option run with Rondale on the jet sweep, pitching it to Alvin. Alvin throwing a double pass to Michael Thomas. Fuck yeah. Let's do it. Sean Payton could only dream. Dude, can you imagine the return game, though, with him and Deontay Harris on the field at the same time? Let's do it. Let's go. All right, where was I? 61, Buffalo Bills. So I took Ifeatu Melifonwu to get Levi Wallace off the field. So what else do I want? All the tight end value's gone. The offensive line's good. The receiving core is good. The receiving core is great, honestly. Hold on. Let me check. Wait, that's the wrong thing. When does Cole Beasley's contract expire? Okay, A, he's 32 already. Secondly, they saved six. Hold on, let me do this. So he's 32. They only take $1.5 million dead money hit next offseason, and they save 6.1 in the same offseason that they're going to presumably pay Josh Allen like $1 zillion a year by cutting Cole Beasley. So do I want to go Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's a Cole Beasley clone, who they might be getting rid of, a 33-year-old slot receiver next year and saving $6 million? Is that a bad idea, chat? I mean, I kind of like Amon-Ra St. Brown better than Kadarius Toney, but I mean, it's not by much. Like, you could argue for either one, really. That's tough. So edge, what's available at edge? Aziz is still there, right? I think he is. Yeah, Ronnie Perkins is still there as well. Oh, that's tough. But both of them are really more like linebackers, and this is a true kind of 4-down front. Man, Rousseau, they don't need Rousseau. Like, they already took what's his face from Iowa last year, AJ Epinesa, who's like the same kind of player. They don't really need him. Man, safety. No, I wouldn't really go safety here. Nickel's a possibility. Elijah Molden, maybe? ETN. Oh, that would be fun. Just put 4 running backs on the field at the same time, because why not? That would be fun, though. Not going to lie. He's not as good as, well, I won't say that. I'll just say this. I prefer Khalil Herbert. Throwing it out there. But I don't know if I want to take running back. All right. You know what? Let's have some fun and let's go Kadarius Toney. How about that? Just, again, entertainment value. Oh, now the chat caught up and they saw the Khalil Herbert take. Yeah. So here's the thing you got to know about my running back rankings. And I might as well say this now, preserve it for all time. You can clip this, whatever you want. I don't have a big 3 at running back. I have a big 4. And Khalil Herbert's in it. And Trey Sermon's in it. Travis Etienne's not in it. He's at the very top of my tier 2. But my tier 1, and you can kind of go any order with this. Well, not any order, but you know, they're pretty close in grades. Javonte Williams, Najee Harris, the obvious ones. Trey Sermon, who's a fucking freak, by the way. And Khalil Herbert, who's amazing. Travis Etienne is awesome. Great straight line speed. When he gets in the open field, he could really do some damage. Tackle breaking ability, not great. You look at his efficiency against stacked boxes, which with how much the league is still playing a lot of one high defenses, like you got to be able to produce against stacked boxes. His yard per carry goes way down. And not to mention his yards after contact to the left, like specifically to the left edge, way higher than everywhere else. You know what that tells me? When he's able to use his dominant hand for stiff arming and breaking tackles, he's great. But if you're calling runs to the right, it's like half yards after contact and half yards per carry, period. when he's running the other way and he has to use his non-dominant hand. It's the little things, it's the little things that go into running back evaluation. If you're not great at tackle breaking, unless you're going one direction where you can use your dominant hand, like at least Derrick Henry can kind of go either way. He's better to his left, but he can still go to his right. But if you're only good at going one direction when you can use your dominant hand, you're not efficient against stack boxes. Like every guy in my top tier is really efficient versus stack boxes. Like Trey Sermon, like Khalil Herbert, even for as small as he is, still average like over 6 yards a carry against stack boxes. So that's why I have all those guys in tier one. Literally said this in the video yesterday. I think I said it in my podcast, which everybody watching this, I don't know if they watch the podcast or not, but I briefly mentioned it that I have ETN out of my tier one. But that's why. It's just, again, it's tackle breaking ability. You get him in the open field on like crack toss, sure. But how often are you really going to get that scenario versus, hey, there's 8 in the box, we're running ISO or we're running inside zone. That dude's not, you're not going to make that dude miss. So you got to run through him and get 4 yards for us. How often is that scenario going to happen versus how often is, hey, the defense fucked up their run fit and you're running wide open on crack toss? Like, again, it's a maybe once per game thing versus an 8 times per game thing. I want the guy that's good at the 8 times per game thing. Anyway, where was I? Right. So what do I want for the Bills? It's not Travis Etienne. I'll just say that. Kadarius Toney, I think is what we settled on. So I'm going to go Kadarius Toney there. And then that leaves us with the Green Bay Packers. So probably Amon-Ra St. Brown, right? Because the Packers were last in 11 personnel in the entire league. Barely ran it because they didn't like any of their slot guys. How ironic would it be if I drafted Amon-Ra to take his brother's job? Let's do that. Let's create some awkward Thanksgivings. Let's do that. Let's take Amon-Ra to take all of Equanimeous' snaps. Let's do it. Plus, he's just a really good slot receiver, like natural slot receiver. Again, he compares a lot to like a Julian Edelman, a Cole Beasley, just great quickness, great route runner, ball skills, tough as nails. Like he's the one that when they go into 11 personnel, like they actually would at this point because they have a true slot receiver now and Amon-Ra, like he would be on the field for them. And I think Aaron would love him. Like Aaron Rodgers would love this dude. So back to back, you get Landon Dickerson and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Again, the first and second round packages. A lot of people, when we had 4,000 people in this stream or whatever, were panicking when I was pounding the table for Landon Dickerson saying, you got to get a weapon. Landon Dickerson and Amon-Ra St. Brown, pretty good 1-2 package. Remember, the draft is 7 rounds. You can get good players after round 1. Kansas City Chiefs picking again at 63. Man, I kind of like Azeez Ojulari here. Not going to lie, chat. Not going to lie. Like, I already took Trayvon Grimes. I kind of like Azeez Ojulari. Yeah, let's do that. Let's take Azeez. Because I think, again, really good run defender. He's a one-move pass rusher right now, but, I would rather spend a late 2 on that and then hope he can get better than a late 1 on that. Like I think late 2, when you consider how good, like instinctive he is against the run, sets a hard edge. Like he's just a good football player. He's not complete as a pass rusher, but like for the package you're getting at the end of round 2, yeah, I'm all in on that. Give me Azeez at pick number, 63 or something like that. All right, last but not least, last pick of this mock draft, which is normally 1 round, and now we are 2 rounds deep. For you. Everything I do for you. Oh, wait, this is wrong. Here we go. All right. Last pick, chat. Let's make it count, yeah? So we did Peyton Turner in round 1. So we kind of fixed our edge problem here. Mond is gone. I'm not taking Davis Mills. Do I want a young receiver? There's not really any that I'm super passionate about right here. Do I want safety? Because Jordan Whitehead is in the last year of his deal, I think, right? Hold on. Let me double check. I think he's in the last year of his deal. Stand by. Close, right? Yeah. Come on. You're embarrassing me in front of my friends. Where's my free agents? Is Jordan Whitehead dead? Why is he not showing up? Here we go. Yeah, okay. So his contract expires after this year. Let's go back-to-back round 2 safeties and back-to-back years for undervalued players. Let's go Tyree Gillespie, safety, Mizzou. Really good player. You watch just the Bama game. In like the first drive of the Bama game. And he's incredible. And then you put on the Florida tape. Like if all you watch was Alabama and Florida, you'd be sold on this dude. Can cover in man, can play the deep post, tough in the box against the run. I love Tyree Gillespie. I think he would fit so well next to Antoine Winfield. I think he would fit just the kind of nastiness of that defense. Peyton Turner and Tyree Gillespie back to back, and the Bucs defense is already really good, and you inject that kind of talent in there. Fuck. Yeah, sign me up. I think that would be awesome. So 2 rounds, chat. We did it. How you guys feeling? My voice is damn near gone. I'll say this. I appreciate all of you for sticking around through this. I appreciate all of you for being so understanding about the new kind of format that I was a little bit forced into at the last second. I do this all for you guys. Like I deal with the one thing I didn't anticipate being a YouTuber is you deal with a lot of stuff, and the comments that you guys, you're so supportive, and you make me feel like it's all worth it. Like because I wouldn't do this just for me. There's too many bad parts of the job to only do it for me. But you guys make it worth it. And I have a lot of fun because of you guys. So I appreciate the fact that 1,500 people are still watching this after 3 hours when the first round was long done. And you guys still stuck around and supported. So thank you for all of you. Thank you to Felix Gray for being supportive. And, when I kind of had to audible and change formats, they were just like, fuck it, do whatever you need to do. Like, they basically, that sponsorship basically paid for the new equipment I had to buy just to make this live stream possible. So again, thank you to them. I'm not sauced. I am enlightened. What's the term from when I did the live stream for bootleg football? Is I'm not an influencer. I'm an under the influencer. I'm gonna put that on a shirt. But I love you guys. I do this for you guys because you support the hell out of me and you make it all worth it. So I hope you guys have a great night. I hope this was entertaining. It is 8:11 for me. So for some of you guys, and especially the Europeans watching, it's probably ass crack of dawn at this point. I'd say this was a success. Wow. I'm not drunk, I promise. I'm just cheesy. I'd say this was a successful mock draft. We'll have to do this again. Maybe I'll actually prepare for it next year and plan to do it this way because it was a lot of fun. So I hope you guys have a good night. I will see you back again, go to the link in the description to the Bootleg Football Podcast channel. I'll see you back on that channel tomorrow at 7 Eastern, I think it is. We're doing a Q&A live stream for a couple hours. You can ask whatever questions you want. And then all 3 days of the draft itself, we're doing like 18 to 19 hours of live draft coverage. So again, check out the Bootleg Football Podcast. That's where me and EJ are doing all that. Hope you guys will join us. And until then, I'll see you guys later.